This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Showers increasing and a top of 16 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
FIVEaa Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. FIVEaAextra.com.
The State Transition Committee will meet today to discuss border restrictions. It's likely they'll be relaxed for areas in Queensland, including Brisbane and the Gold and Sunshine Coasts. But as of midnight, the rules for entering SA from New South Wales were tightened as their COVID crisis goes from bad to worse. They recorded 112 cases yesterday. Meantime, investigations are continuing into the Sydney positive removalist who was in SA last Friday and whether he visited any locations which could be deemed as exposure sites. Opening a vaccine plant in Adelaide is back in the spotlight today. Nine's Ollie Haig says the bid will head to Canberra this week.
Pharmaceutical giant Biosina looking to establish a mRNA manufacturing plant here at Theberton using its existing site previously used by Pfizer. Now it would allow it to produce highly favourable vaccines like Pfizer and also Moderna.
The consortium also comprises the University of Adelaide, SA Health and the SAMRI. $90 million in funding is needed to get the facility up and running, but vaccines could be produced in as little as 9 months. An economic relief package will be unveiled today for businesses struggling to survive Sydney's extended lockdown. Nine's Eliza Edwards reports.
The rescue package will focus on boosting cash flow to businesses to cover costs like wages, but the support is contingent on them keeping workers on the books during the lockdown. It's being jointly funded by the New South Wales and federal governments and will go hand in hand with a boost to COVID disaster payments, expected to increase to $600 a week for full-time staff and $375 for those working part-time.
The UK will move to its final stage of the roadmap out of lockdown in a week's time. From the 19th of July, social distancing rules and limits on social contact will be removed. All remaining businesses which have been closed during the pandemic will be allowed to reopen. The Health Secretary says it's a major milestone.
This is not the end of the road. It's the start of a new phase of continued caution while we live with this virus and we manage the risks.
Emmanuel Macron has announced COVID vaccinations will be mandatory for healthcare workers. The French president has given a deadline of September 15 for staff in the sector to get immunised. The BBC's Hugh Schofield has more.
In order to beat back the Delta variant and the predicted surge in hospital cases, President Macron said the answer was vaccination and then more vaccination. And so, amid recent signs that uptake of the vaccination programme has been slowing, he's decided to push ahead with compulsory inoculation for all people who come into contact with the vulnerable. In addition, the so-called health pass on paper or mobile phone, which has till now played only a marginal role in most people's lives, is set to become an indispensable tool, because from August it'll be required for simple access to bars, cafes, shopping centres, planes and long-distance trains, as well as social and cultural gatherings of more than 50 people.
Now to FIVEaa Sport.
Get $200 cash back on Bosch washer dryer packages at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
And it's good morning to Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Mel. We'll start with football. West Coast is hanging on to 8th spot on percentage. That's after going down to North Melbourne in Perth last night. After trailing by 11 points at the last change, the home side looked like running away with the game with the first 3 goals of the quarter. But North fought back to win by 10 points. Eagles coach Adam Simpson pretty frank in his assessment of their 3rd loss in a row.
I suppose decision-making, some unforced errors that we don't normally make, taking the game on a little bit more. We've been trying to do that, and some hesitation with that, or a skill turnover.
Meantime, Port Adelaide is assessing whether to bring back Xavier Dersma for this Saturday night's clash against St Kilda. He played for the Maggies last week in the Sandful after a lengthy layoff with a knee injury. To cricket, Australia needs to win the remaining 3 T20 internationals against the West Indies to clinch their series in the Caribbean. The tourist batting lineup has failed to fire in back-to-back losses in St Lucia. Australian assistant coach Andrew McDonald says the Windies batsmen have had more time to develop combinations, and it's showing.
It does take a little bit of time to get up and running. We've got some batters in the middle order that are batting with each other for the first time as well. So, as I said, they're not excuses, but it's just exactly where we're at on the journey forward with this group.
And the Italian squad have been given a hero's welcome after touching down in Rome following their Euro success. Matteo Berrettini may have lost Wimbledon, but he's also returned to Italy and joined the players as they continue to celebrate. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now the FIVEaa forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
Showers increasing for your Tuesday, 16. Showers tomorrow, 17. And more showers on Thursday, also 17. Right now it's 11. More news as it happens on FIVEaa.
The new FIVEaa Player app lets you listen to all your favourite FIVEaa shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to FIVEaa Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6:05, good morning to you. Welcome to Tuesday on FIVEaa Breakfast. Coming up on the program this morning, we'll be chatting with Vincent McAviney in the UK. He'll have the latest on the fallout from the England's loss at the Euros yesterday. The fallout now is less about what transpired on the pitch than what happened immediately after it across the country. It's been labelled as an embarrassment in England, and the feeling strongly there is that any chance they've got of hosting a World Cup any time in the future has been almost entirely obliterated. We'll talk more about that after 6:30. Also coming up today, big drug bust at Queenstown yesterday, a manufacturing operation that has seen a couple of men refused bail. We'll have more on that after 7 o'clock. Phil Curry in the nation's capital. Some breaking news on Labor's position on the federal government's stage 3 tax cuts. That's been a little policy position that's dogged them for a little while, Labor, but they seem to have settled on an answer to that one. And then after 8 o'clock, Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick from SA Health will join us. Yesterday, had that feeling, David, of being that it was an almost big day, COVID-wise, in South Australia. We had that almost, here we go again. Removalists coming in from Sydney, one of whom has been confirmed to have the Delta strain, come in and help some people move house in McLaren Vale. And we all thought for a few hours, oh, hell, are we doing this again? But thankfully it doesn't look like it's the case.
No, it doesn't look like it. And any day where nothing by the way of a lockdown or an outbreak of any strain of anything occurs is a good one. Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. But it seems. I certainly don't want to put the moxie on us, but when you look at the manner in which the transmissible nature of the Delta variant, the airborne nature of it, where it can just be sitting there in the air and you walk past it and in it goes. It seems improbable that it can remain a Sydney problem forever, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Like, it defies logic. Well, in a country where people move around, and even with the border closures that we've got, there are still people coming in, and the removalist is a great example. Like, there's someone who's clearly an exempt worker. There were the family decided to move to McLaren Vale, and geez, why wouldn't you? That of itself is a nice part of the story, isn't it? That we've got people either moving back or moving here from somewhere else.
Not an uncommon story post-COVID either.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've got quite a few mates here now who have either come home as South Aussies or people who've moved here from particularly Sydney have come here, and a couple from Melbourne too, and they're going, geez, this is nice. Like, it's got its drawbacks. Like they're not totally in love with Adelaide. They say things like, oh yeah, it takes a little bit of getting used to the fact that you wake up on a Sunday and you can't go to the shops. You can't go to the Mile End Homemaker Centre, or you might hit the so-called restaurant strips of like Goodger Street on a Tuesday night and feel like you got the whole place to yourself. But, you don't need constant stimulation, to use my Good Friday line of argument, Will.
That's right. That's exactly right. You never watch footy on Good Friday at all, even if it's at night.
Hey, now that was a good game.
We yesterday sort of felt like in the coverage of COVID and people's attitude in South Australia to it, it was the meeting of the irresistible force and the immovable object, because in the space of just a couple of hours, we had two of these competing narratives smash head-bang on into each other. And one of those is a very sad story, a 72-year-old woman that died as a result of complications following taking the AstraZeneca vaccine. But then we had the very real prospect that there was going to be another outbreak in South Australia as a result of these removalists. And we're not going to be able to straddle the line between these two positions for much longer.
No.
You either get vaccinated or you get COVID.
Yeah.
It's kind of feeling like that's the inevitable choice that people are going to have to make.
And the reason that so many people are still holding out against getting vaccinated is that it doesn't feel like it's a life or death situation in Australia.
That's right.
Whereas in England, the reason the lady from Oxford University, who was on 60 Minutes the other night, the reason she got the standing ovation at Wimbledon, which was terrific, and she was making perfect sense the other night, where she said, look, nothing in life is without risk. Any vaccine you take, there's always a risk that there'll be some sort of a reaction. Like when you got people dropping like 9 pins as they were in the UK and across Western Europe, it's like, give me anything that's going to make me safer from this. I don't care what it is. Yep. Whereas here, it's like, well, hang on. When was the last time someone died? That's the refrain you hear. We hear it from a lot of our listeners. It's understandable. It's human nature. But the problem is it almost feels like it's a form of thinking that, just like, talk about the cock-up that keeps on giving. It was given breath by the nation's leader when he said it's not a race.
Absolutely.
It fed into that whole mindset of, this is Australia. We're going gangbusters. See, even the British newspaper, the Financial Times, wrote an editorial yesterday looking at Australia's performance in terms of the vaccine rollout, or stroll out, as they call it, talking about the pace of it. I've got to say, though, the editorial uses the term squandering the lead, and of all the days for anyone in Britain to make that accusation about Australia.
Yeah, they know something about it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
11
you guys wrote the book on that.
11 after 6, 8223 0000 is our number. Always love your comments and thoughts too. Send them through on the Telstra Stillmount Barker text line 044808 1395. News headlines coming up.
Major road resurfacing works on the South Eastern Freeway between the toll gate and Hyson tunnels will be underway until mid-2021. Motorists should expect delays, so allow extra travel time. Visit dit.sa.gov.au/SE Freeway. A message from the Government of South Australia.
So, you've got a will. But, is your estate plan in place? What if you lose capacity to manage your financial affairs or to make medical or health decisions? What happens then? Who gets your superannuation? Who controls the family trust? From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers can answer your questions and help carry out your wishes. Wills and estate planning? Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
There was a time when I'd put up with overcooked steak. I'd look for the least expensive meal on the menu, and yet I'd pay over the odds for the sake of fashion. I was even prepared to drink cheap wine once. But you reach a stage in life when you're no longer prepared to compromise, and that's why I choose Call Me Continence products. Drier, more comfortable, more discreet. Call Me. CORMIE. Confidence without compromise.
How do you know if the milk you're buying is local? Easy. Just look for 3 words. Fleurieu Milk Company. If the bottle you pick up has those 3 words on it, Fleurieu Milk Company, it's guaranteed to be local. It's guaranteed to be fresh too. And the big plus, you're supporting SA dairy farmers. And for that, we're forever grateful. 3 words. Fleurieu Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
The new FIVEaa Player app lets you listen to all your favourite FIVEaa shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
14 after 6. I've got this funny feeling I need to update my 5AA app. I don't know, there's this little voice in my head that says you need to get a new one, apparently.
Who is that woman? She's new.
She's excellent.
Yeah. They're often... these aren't colleagues of ours as such, are they?
No,
the people who do the voiceovers?
They're professionals.
Yeah. That's right.
No, I mean, they're voiceover professionals, not...
When we
not that we work with a bunch of amateurs.
No, but, when we need to get anyone who, to do any sort of serious broadcasting, we call in some actual professionals to do it.
That's exactly right. All right, let's get into the news headlines on this Tuesday morning. Health authorities are on high alert after removalists from Sydney tested positive for coronavirus after working in South Australia and Victoria. The group of 3 travelled from Sydney to Melbourne on Thursday, dropping off furniture to one family before picking up more from another. They then crossed the border to work in South Australia the next day before returning to Sydney after one of the removalists was told by New South Wales Health he was a primary close contact of another case. Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick, who will join us a little bit later this morning from SA Health, says they're not aware of any other exposure sites.
It was a day trip in. They spent around 5 hours unloading the furniture into the house and then got back in their trucks and then left, and have had rest stops along the way, but not aware that they've been to any locations within South Australia.
As we said, it feels much better than it certainly sounded when the first dribs and drabs of information about that case came out yesterday. SA Health seemed pretty comfortable with where they were at. The State Transition Committee will meet today, easing border restrictions with parts of Queensland, including Brisbane, Moreton Bay and the Gold and Sunshine Coasts. It'll all be on the agenda. SA authorities are also monitoring the situation in New South Wales. 112 cases recorded yesterday, and working to step up COVID testing for truckies and essential workers. And it goes to the point you made at the start of the show. We've had lockdowns and border closures, but it's not a zero people in kind of scenario.
Yeah.
So that's a critical part of this. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has confirmed that the 4th and final stage of easing coronavirus infections will go ahead next week in England despite rising infections. He urged caution and called on people to consider others.
If we were now to delay this 4th step, for instance to September, then we would be reopening as the weather gets colder and as the virus acquires a greater natural advantage and when schools are back.
Case numbers are on the rise, but for the first time there's a weakening correlation between case numbers and hospitalisation in the UK, and that's because of the vaccine.
Yeah, that's right. People get it now and they go, and it is just like the flu. This is what that Australian scientist based in Singapore was saying on that excellent 60 Minutes thing that I mentioned previously the other night. It was, hearing that bloke talk, it was one of the few genuinely reassuring things I've heard anyone say about all of this. That, well, it is going to get to the point where it's like the cold.
Yeah, exactly right.
Till the next one comes along.
Well, that's why maybe we need the FIVEaa plant, the Biocena plant here in Adelaide, which looks like it's a step closer to reality. Actually, no, you're right. Let me backpedal a little. Something is happening.
Yeah.
Which is better than previously when nothing was happening.
Yeah, well.
But something is happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Sounds
that's
like
excellent.
it.
We'll talk more about that a little bit later. The case numbers to be released later this morning for New South Wales will show how many Sydney residents are still in the community while infectious. Health officials have indicated it will be almost impossible to lift the lockdown as planned on Friday because they want community transmission to be at or close to zero. Yeah, I think they're a while off that in New South Wales at the moment. England captain Harry Kane has told those behind the racist abuse of teammates Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Bukayo Saka, you're not an England fan and we don't want you. All 3 players missed penalties in the 3-2 shootout loss to Italy in yesterday morning's Euro 2020 final. They were abused on social media, as is unfortunately the case. I don't say that gleefully, and I don't say it with a sense of resignation either. It's just simply there are losers out in the community, and social media gives them a voice, unfortunately.
Why will it necessarily affect Britain's hopes of hosting a World Cup?
Well, that's not this part of the story. The trashing of the town, the bashing of fans,
yes, well,
storming of a stadium to try and get in and get tickets, all that kind of stuff has harmed.
I'll tell you what, all the countries that follow football around the world have their own problems with hooliganism. I mean, I think, is it Juventus? They've actually formalised them into a gang called Las Ultras.
The Ultras are...
The Ultras.
Yeah, but lots of Italian clubs have Ultras.
So that's like their hooligans, like their hardcore fans.
Yep.
But the Poms really take the cake, don't they?
That was embarrassing to watch yesterday. A group of grown men upset about the team losing, and look, it was brutal. I was as sport obsessed as any human being on the planet. But the idea then you wait outside of a bay when other fans are leaving with a view to throwing a punch at people as they walk past or a kick.
But these guys, there's actually quite a bit of overlap between, skinhead culture and hooligan culture. And you saw last year where, inspired by Black Lives Matter, there was talking about taking down some of the statues. In fact, there was a statue of Churchill that someone had said should be taken down, and all these guys, and it was hilarious seeing them. Because talking about a totally warped sense of history, there were blokes standing there some of them had Nazi insignia tats
defending
Churchill's statue, and it's like, and these are the blokes who, their idea of fun is like, we go to the game, we give them the verbals, and then then it's on for young and old. And like, yeah, fantastic.
I don't think, I don't have the data on this, but I'm guessing it's sort of an A+ average in history class among their number.
No.
So maybe they were a little confused about which side they were on.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Top of 16 today, up to 8 mils of rain. Tomorrow, 17 with 5 mils. Thursday, 17 with up to 10 mils. Then Friday, the rainiest of a rainy week, 15 the top with up to 15 mils of rain.
Once it's gone in Dreamland's once-a-year warehouse sale.
That's right, our warehouses are full, so right now it all has to go. With savings of up to 50% off big brand Australian mattresses and ensembles, like Sealy Posturepedic, Sleepmaker, Exclusive Sleep Haven, Restopedic and Utopia. Plus there's huge savings on bed frames, bedroom furniture, adjustable beds and Manchester. With savings up to 50% off, don't miss out on a great night's sleep in Dreamland's once-a-year warehouse sale.
It'll soon be gone.
Dreamland.
My escape outdoors.
My life outdoors.
My family time outdoors.
My living outdoors.
My Christmas outdoors.
My escape outdoors.
My living outdoors.
My family time outdoors.
My living outdoors.
I love my outdoors.
At My Living Outdoors, we turn spaces into places to live your best life. Outdoors, no matter what that is. So do your outdoors with My Living Outdoors, pergolas, verandas, decking, and more. Visit mylivingoutdoors.com.au.
North Point Toyota has tons of quality used vehicles available, with new used vehicles arriving daily. There's so many benefits to buying your used vehicle from North Point Toyota, like their certified pre-owned program, offering benefits that no private seller could, including guaranteed future value, 12-month assist on Toyota certified used vehicles, plus all used vehicles come with a 7-day exchange. It's the North Point way. Hillcrest, Prospect and Port Augusta, or northpointtoyota.com.au.
Dr. Greg Keane explains how SportsMed puts patients first every day.
SportsMed is different. We have a clinic and hospital with specialists, doctors, physios and podiatrists all together in one location. There's also pathology, radiology, pharmacy and a cafe. This makes life easier for our patients because their appointments can all happen right here. It also lets us diagnose issues quickly, leading to high quality, cost-effective care.
And their patients love it. SportsMed.
Start living life again with our expert help.
sportsmed.com.au.
Good leaders always look to support local, and they stay local. Like Leader Computers, Australia's largest Australian-owned PC manufacturer, based right here in South Australia. Having a world-class manufacturer of computers is a big win for our state, providing jobs and local support you simply can't get from overseas companies. Looking for the latest Intel and Microsoft-based computers at great pricing with the huge benefit of local support? Google Leader Computers to find your closest Leader reseller.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
The new 5AA Player app lets you listen to all your favourite 5AA shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 after 6, Tom Wren to Talk Sport in a moment. Get $200 of cash back on Bosch washer dry packages at the Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher. But first we'll get to some texts on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line.
Absolute mountain of texts here, early days, but they are already piling in. Joe in Camden Park says, welcome back, lads. Unfortunately, with 8 billion people on Earth, someone's got to die of something. That's just life. I've had both my jabs and I am fine. Then he says, Blakey's behind closed doors yesterday had me in stitches, fear can sell. Then Graham says, I don't think having the vaccine eliminates COVID, it lowers the symptoms. Indeed it does. Yep. That's why everyone should take it, because, same way you take the flu vaccine, you don't get the flu, or you don't get the flu as badly. You can soldier on, to paraphrase the ad. One here saying Australia's been too cocky regarding its success with the virus. Now it's coming back to bite us on the bum, e.g. New South Wales. Vince says that England should be banned from the next World Cup. Oh, you can't do that. You can't ban the team from playing. Surely not.
I think if you were in the business of banning teams from participating in the World Cup on the basis that they had hooligan fans, there wouldn't be too many teams participating in the World Cup.
No, that's right. What about Argentina? Like, crikey, some of their fans are pretty out there.
Yeah. Which is,
Shouldn't single them out. They're not world champions, Copa America champions as of last Sunday. And Brett, mate, you were speaking my language. Will and I were just saying this very thing during the ad break on what is a bit of a COVID-heavy morning with all of the developments yesterday with McLaren Vale. But Brett, mate, this is it's quite weird. This text landed, and it's verbatim of what I just said to Will during the ad break. I look forward to the day when COVID is a thing of the past, and so will be the bloody conversation about vaccinations.
Oh, absolutely.
Seriously.
We're with you, Brett. We are with you.
Any other topics? Ring up and,
hey, yeah.
We're all ears.
Yeah, we're ready to go. Give us something.
That's right.
Please, I'm being serious. Thankfully, we've got Tom Wren, and he can talk to us about sport. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, boys. It's been a weekend of upsets, but I don't think anyone last night with the final game of round 17 would have seen this one coming.
But the bottom side of the AFL has caused a massive boil over, beating West Coast on their home ground to just about put their season in the grave.
Well, it just goes to show, where is West Coast at? Since their bye, they've been belted by 92 points against Sydney. They lost in their first match after the bye to the Bulldogs by 55 points. And then that last night, not sure where Adam Simpson's at. There's growing unrest at the Eagles. They are turning their toes up in a big way.
Well, here's a more ominous local conversation. How embarrassing will it be if the Adelaide Crows can't beat them at home next Sunday afternoon?
They need text.
Seriously?
Don't they? Yeah.
Seriously? Like, there's no reason why Adelaide, if they serve up the same garbage they did last week, they'll have the ignominy. I can never say that word.
Ignominy.
Ignominy?
No, there's a missing...
ignominy.
Yeah, ignominy, yeah.
Ignominy.
Let's pick another one.
Embarrassment.
Yeah, that's a
Let's
good one.
go with embarrassment of being the only side in the last month to lose to the Weagles.
Well, it opens up another possibility. Interested your thoughts on this, Rennie. Is there potential for another wooden spoon for the Crows?
Oh, don't say that.
Because...
Please.
They're only a game and a half away now, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah, North Melbourne's last month has been a lot better.
They had a draw and two wins.
I think Hawthorn's in a bit of strife.
Yeah, Hawthorn seems... You can't see another win coming for them, can you?
They're
Don't
really
even
battling.
talk publicly about another wooden spoon for the Crows, Will.
Well, okay, let me put it a different way. Rennie, good news for the Crows. The chance of drafting Jason Horn's gone up.
I was going to say, I saw some highlights from the weekend. He looks...
2 weeks ago, Will was asking Tom Duday, who sits in your chair every Thursday, hey, we a chance of making the finals?
Hey, you got to move the goalposts.
Yeah, exactly. We do that.
Things have changed a bit since you asked that question.
Fellas, as well this morning, I know Novak Djokovic has won. I wanted to get your thoughts, just looking at him, Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. They've all won 20 Grand Slams now. And if you look at the spread of where they've been won, Djokovic is the most rounded player in terms of he's won 9 Australian Open, so that's clearly his go-to, hard court. He's won 2 at the Roland Garros, one of them this year, 6 at Wimbledon, 3 at the US Open. He's the most even of the lot because Federer's only won 1 French Open, Nadal's only won 1 Australian Open, for example, so he's the only one that's won multiple at every one. And yet, I think in the eyes of probably 95% of the population, he's not going to be the GOAT. Why is that?
Well, I think great athletes, you want a rounded person. You want to see the full
package,
the full human package, and you don't really get that with him, do you? Well, maybe get too much of the
yeah, maybe too much
the annoying stuff.
It's a great question because in evaluating just simply as a tennis player, well, you're right. He will be the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just trying to think in any other sport, is there someone who's roundly considered the greatest who's not liked? So Michael Jordan is liked, Sir Donald Bradman is liked, although not by everyone in the history of Australian cricket. But I'm just, the greats of the game, there's generally a degree of affection. When you mention their name, people go, oh, yeah, fantastic.
Maradona's not liked by a lot of people.
Messi and Ronaldo, are they? They're pretty well liked,
yeah,
aren't
they're
they?
liked. I mean, even if
they're
you're
contemporaries, though, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
But there's not many people that
they're
you go,
not better soccer players than Maradona either, I don't think.
He's great, but I don't like him. That seems to be part of it. Floyd Mayweather. Andy, our producers, suggested a good one. Floyd Mayweather, undefeated, greatest in his weight category of all time. And, well, maybe pound for pound, you could make the argument as well. Not liked. That's a good suggestion.
And maybe a bit of it goes to style. I think Djokovic is amazing. He'll probably win 25 or 26 Grand Slams by the end. But Federer, there's a grace about the way he moves, which makes him beautiful to watch. He just looks smooth. He seems to, when he was at his best, he seemed to glide on the court. Whereas Djokovic he's almost like a brick wall, which is incredible. It's effective, but it doesn't look as gracious. Maybe we're being unfair, and maybe to that point, once his career's finished, perhaps he'll get more respect once he finishes. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that'll happen.
Retrospect gives people...
Because...
Well, you look at McEnroe now, everyone adores John McEnroe.
Yeah, and at the time...
Yeah,
despised
super brat.
Well, in evaluating sports people in a historical context, their records live on longer than their stories about their personality or things they said. Everyone will look back and go, how many Grand Slams? Oh, yeah, greatest of all time.
Yeah.
They won't go, COVID denier.
Had a super spreader.
Yeah, super spreader.
Bunga bunga party man.
Had a party during a global pandemic.
Hey, speaking of sport, I reckon we should offer a special public shout out to our producer, Andy. Seriously.
Yeah.
He got up at Sparrow's Fart yesterday because he's a massive England fan to watch the World Cup final. And then late yesterday, being a massive West Coast fan, he went to take a bit of solace in the AFL.
It's been a rough 24 hours, hasn't it?
Some days you get the bear, other days the bear gets you. Sorry, mate.
Get $200 cash back on Bosch Washer Dry Packages, Adelaide Appliance Gallery, the home of Mr. Dishwasher.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers increasing today and a top of 16. With the 6:30 news, I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
Border restrictions will be on the agenda when the State Transition Committee meets today. It's likely restrictions with parts of Queensland will be eased further, including opening up to Brisbane. As of midnight, SA tightened the entry requirements with New South Wales. Applications for exemptions will undergo greater scrutiny as that state recorded 112 new COVID cases yesterday. And investigations are continuing into the Sydney removalist who was in SA last Friday while infectious. Contact tracing is working to compile any exposure sites. Vaccines for infectious diseases, including COVID, could be produced in Adelaide in under a year. That's the claim from the consortium pushing to establish the country's first high-tech mRNA vaccine plant in the western suburbs. Nine's Ollie Haig says they want to utilise a former Pfizer facility at Theberton.
It is a consortium of FIVEaa, Adelaide Uni, SA Health and a medical research institute. It does need $90 million to repurpose the facility, but the goal is to have vaccines being manufactured in as little as 9 months.
New cybersecurity standards are being drafted which could see company directors held personally accountable for attacks. Nine's Lauren Howarth has the story.
A new report shows cybercrime is costing the Australian economy about $3.5 billion a year, prompting the Home Affairs Minister to declare we can't allow the criminal activity to become a significant handbrake on economic growth and digital security. The federal government is releasing a discussion paper suggesting new standards for corporate governance, smart devices and the handling of personal information. The Australian Strategic Policy Institute is pushing for mandatory reporting of attacks, arguing a national strategy is essential.
There's fallout off the field from yesterday's big soccer game in London. British police are investigating the racial abuse of 3 England players who missed penalty shots in the Euro 2020 final against Italy. Nine's Ben Avery reports.
Prince William has joined the chorus of condemnation of the online attacks on Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Bukayo Saka, saying he's sickened by the racist abuse and that those involved should be held accountable. The 3 England players, who are all black, were sent racist tweets after the match, which was won by Italy as a result of the players missing their spot kicks. England manager Gareth Southgate says the abuse is unforgivable and isn't what England football stands for. The Metropolitan Police is investigating the abuse, which it says will not be tolerated.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get $200 cash back on Bosch Washer Dryer Packages at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr. Dishwasher.
And we had a footy game last night, Tom Wren.
Yeah, we did. It rounded out round 17, Mel, and West Coast season is in free fall after a shock 10-point loss at home to the bottom-placed North Melbourne. The Eagles were expected to cruise past the Kangaroos but battled in the wet conditions before losing their third match in a row. They're still in the 8 but only on percentage. Meantime, Adelaide defender Tom Doedee says he's annoyed at the prospect he'll have to miss Sunday's match against West Coast due to concussion protocols. Doedee telling Channel 9 he's feeling good. That's despite leaving the ground early in the match against Essendon because of a heavy collision with Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody.
In terms of head stuff, neck pain, pressure in the head, dizziness, blurred vision, I don't have any of those symptoms at the moment and feeling good.
Still on footy, and Carlton's Charlie Curnow is closing in on his long-awaited return to football after a torrid run with injuries. Meantime, Brisbane Lions key forward Eric Hipwood will miss the rest of the season after scans confirmed he's ruptured his ACL. The final week in the Tour de France kicks off tonight after a rest day. Tadej Pogacar is the man to beat in yellow. And former champion Zach Johnson and Masters winners Bubba Watson and Hideki Matsuyama have all withdrawn from this week's Open Championship for COVID-19 related reasons. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
Showers increasing today, 16. Showers tomorrow, 17. Thursday, showers continuing, 17. Right now, it is 11 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
The new 5AA Player app lets you listen to all your favourite 5AA shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes to 7. Vincent McAviney in the UK in a moment. Then after 7 o'clock this morning, we'll bring you the latest on the drug bust at Queenstown that took place yesterday. Saw a pair of men denied bail. It was a drug manufacturing facility that was broken up. We'll have more detail on it then. SAPOL coming up in about 10 minutes' time as well.
That's not the one we want to get up and running. We want the Pfizer drug manufacturing facility up and running. The one in Theberton. Not the one in Queenstown.
I don't
meth.
think that's what they were. No, I think it was steroids.
Oh, okay, steroids. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Bit of a pre-Olympic boost for everyone. Now, also, Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick from SA Health after 8 o'clock. COVID scare yesterday, still doing some contact tracing with regard to the removalists that came in from New South Wales. So we'll have more on that a little later. But let's get to what's transpired in the UK over the last 24 hours.
Togetherness and spirit, which I think has brought so many parts of our country together. For some of them to be abused is unforgivable, really. I know a lot of that has come from abroad, but not all of it, and it's just not what we stand for. We I think, have been a beacon of light in bringing people together.
That's England manager Gareth Southgate following the revelation yesterday that 3 of his players that missed penalties had been racially vilified on social media. It was disappointing and disheartening for football fans what happened on the pitch, but everything that's followed after has been a total embarrassment for the country. Vincent McAviney is our London correspondent, and if you follow Vincent on Twitter, you'll see he was in the thick of some of this stuff yesterday. Vincent, good morning to you, mate.
Good morning.
So what was it actually like being there amongst all of this nonsense, Vincent?
Well, I wasn't really supposed to be working. I was going to watch it quietly at home. I'm not a massive football fan, but I was going to watch the game to see it. But I did end up having to work last night, and I just knew that I didn't really want to get anywhere near Wembley. I didn't want to be in Leicester Square or Trafalgar Square because, I mean, we've seen for decades England fans, so-called fans, going abroad to other cities, hosting these competitions and just being an absolute embarrassment. And I think this brought it home just how embarrassing these people are, doing things. I mean, I'm sure you've seen some of the images that were going around on Twitter, some of the videos of just absolutely obscene behaviour in the build-up to the game. I think it was pretty shocking last night that, you guys have talked to me over the years from various terror attacks. And I think the first time I really spoke with you guys was the Ariana Grande one in Manchester back in 2017. We have just had the report out into that attack, and it documented huge failings in the security and the emergency services and the security at the venue itself. And it's extraordinary that on the biggest hosting event of a football competition we've had, at a stadium that was only custom built 15 years ago, that has hosted things like the Olympics, it's hosted massive concerts, and it's very strategically developed. There's ramps up to the stadium and down into the lower sections. And any time I've ever gone to events there, you can't get close to the stadium unless you've got a ticket. There are normally all these checkpoints. And the fact is that England fans got so aggressive, so out of control, so drunk, that they were managing to storm the stadium. And it's thought that hundreds, if not thousands, got into the stadium, were brawling in the stands, that they were just diving, broke the social distancing, got into the rows, were blocking people's views, and just behaving wildly in that stadium. It is completely unacceptable, because anything could have happened if in their midst there had been a terrorist, which has sadly happened here before. So it was a really shocking night. I was decided to cover it from Box Park. It was a fan-controlled, a controlled fan park in East London, in Shoreditch. And there was a good atmosphere there for the most part. But I have to say that, I was trying to find Italian supporters all night, and there really were none. I did manage to find one couple, and, they were happy that their team had won. They'd not long moved to London, and they'd been told by Italian friends not to go out, to watch it from home. But they decided to meet some British friends at a pub, but they felt so uncomfortable that they had to wipe the Italian flags that they had on their cheeks off, and they didn't wear kit purposefully. And so it was a little bit depressing that even, in a kind of pretty decent part of London last night, they said they felt uncomfortable because people in the pub became hostile towards them. And so there is a bit of a reckoning moment for not just the fan culture and when you look at these crowds, it is just all men. There's no, you don't really tend to see that many women in. You don't have kids in the mix. It's just these groups of men getting absurdly drunk. And then, sadly, as we've seen in the last 24 hours, this racist abuse of the team on social media. Some of it, yes, coming from abroad, but some of it as well here in the UK, because a mural for Marcus Rashford has been defaced within the hour last night with racist graffiti as well, and he's put out a pretty touching statement this evening about being proud of where he's come from and what he did. He regrets the penalty, but not his actions, because he's been quite politically engaged in the last year. He took on the government to provide free school meals to students at home and really fought a public campaign and received widespread recognition for it. But it's come out that a Tory MP in their WhatsApp group was criticising him, saying he should have spent more time practising, and she's been forced to apologise. So there is a bit of a kind of battle now as to what the legacy of this team will be.
Yeah. As you're saying that, I was just looking on Twitter, see Prince William's terrifically blunt comment about it all, saying it must stop now and those responsible should be held accountable. Meanwhile, in a much happier, fingers crossed, sense, Vincent, Boris Johnson is sticking to Freedom Day as scheduled for July 19 next week.
Yeah, I mean, there's talking to friends and stuff over the weekend. There's a lot of hesitancy about what's going to happen next week. And even the Prime Minister today made, I think, a bit of a screeching reversal in how he's talking about this, because he did a press conference where the words Freedom Day weren't used, and he was incredibly dour, because we've now had about 7 days in a row where we've had more than 30,000 new cases of COVID per day. That number has, steadily risen, and I'm sure once we see the effects and the testing of last Wednesday's game, the weekend's game, that will, by the end of the week, be up at about 50,000 a day. So the decision that they've had to make now, it seems, is that they want to break the kind of glass on all of this and go back as much as possible to normal life in the summer, whilst the NHS isn't normally under as much a strain as it would be in the winter. But this is all kind of dependent on there not being a new variant which changes everything. And so the Prime Minister was today, but perhaps in a way too late, having had his ministers for weeks talking up Freedom Day and it being a big bang. Today he seems to be putting the brakes on again, because he was talking about a phased return to work, that it shouldn't be everyone back on next Monday, and trying to say to people, employ your common sense on masks and social distancing. It's down to businesses to impose whether they want to see the COVID vaccine rules. But all that confusion does is create, in communications terms, so what the people think they should do creates confusion. But it also doesn't help the businesses, the restaurants, the bars that will then have to deal with abuse from people when they say to them, well, our policy is that, you still have to wear a mask, or we need to see your COVID vaccine. He's creating, perhaps some would argue, a permission structure whereby those who think that they don't need to abide by the rules can simply abuse people who are trying to enforce them. So there is a lot of worry about how things will go next week. As much as we all want to be free again, the fact that the rate is rising, and whilst, yes, the link has been significantly broken with hospitalisations and death, there is still a real problem with a lot of people with long COVID and the effects of that. You know, people who have had it for over a year. I know a colleague who has had it now for a year, and you know, it's completely destroyed her life, and there's no quite reassurance yet on treatment for those people and how they will be looked after. So yes, it is positive that things are somewhat going to go back to normal next week, but I think a lot of people are feeling a bit worried that the communication around it, kind of presenting it as this big bang, just means that people are going to go a bit wild and things are going to at some point reverse, because Boris Johnson today very carefully said that he wouldn't say that it was irreversible change. So there are some nerves about that as well.
I suppose when you consider what's happening over the Channel in France at the moment, it's not surprising given that they're talking about bringing in some sorts of restrictions again. Good stuff, Vincent. Vincent McAviney, our London correspondent. Always great to catch up with Vincent, isn't it?
Fantastic. 15 to 7. A few texts coming in on the football issue. Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Does this violence happen at women's football games in the UK, says one. It's a great question. Vincent said something that struck me.
Yeah.
Talked about the maleness, the blokiness of the sport. Well, I went to a game there. It started last year when we were in Europe. It was really jarring that being in a stadium with 95% men.
Yeah.
I went with my wife, and it felt like we were weird.
Yeah.
And coming from Australia, where you go to the Australian rules football or the soccer here even, you go to Hindmarsh, it's different. You go to the 36ers. We have a 50-50 gender split at sport.
Yeah.
But it felt like the most male-dominant atmosphere. That I haven't felt that going to sport in the US. That seems the US is much more like we are.
Well, that's what I meant when I talked about, you know, the skinhead links. Like you see the whole sort of aesthetic of blokes lined up together, their bodies touching each other with their shirts off. It's like being at some sort of slam dancing gig in like the 1980s, like some hardcore punk band, where the whole crowd almost always was male, and there's some sort of male bonding ritual going on there that, for us, like AFL in particular, you know, you don't need family zones at AFL games because the whole thing pretty much is a family zone. The only bit that's sort of not, and even then, by British standards, nothing, is being on the hill on a Friday night or something.
Adrian says soccer's had a very long history of racism and violence, and it's not going to change anytime soon. Keep the text coming in on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line, 0448081395. Time to check traffic thanks to Air Conditioning Warehouse Sales. They've got Adelaide's best air conditioning brands and best prices. airwaresales.com.au.
Good morning. At Stirling, got a broken down car on the freeway that's inbound with speeds reduced. In the city, a leaking hydrant is flooding the street on Tapley Street near Gilbert Street. Wavell, burst water main, Goodwood Road near Greenhill Road. We've got a lane closed outbound there. And at Parkside, there are some night works still going on Greenhill Road and Glen Osmond Road. Access is restricted. Detour is in place. Probably there till around 7 o'clock this morning. Look out for cameras on the drive-in today. Cavan Road, Dry Creek and Harvey Avenue at Netley. If you're in the market for a new car and don't consider an incredible value Suzuki, then, well, you're a fool. But if you do, you're a genius. World's smartest genius. Suzuki, for fun's sake. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
If you're planning an event, whether it's a small meeting with the latest in reliable technology or a large gala dinner full of glitz and glamour, you'll experience event excellence on every level at the Adelaide Convention Centre. Excellence in understanding your needs and delivering them to exacting standards is what we do. And we don't just aim for excellence, we go beyond. So for your next excellent event, the team is ready and waiting at the Adelaide Convention Centre, the centre of event excellence.
The Barossa Valley is gorgeous, which is why it makes sense to make the Vine change to retirement living in Barossa Village in Anguston, Tanunda and Nooriutpa. It's the retirement lifestyle you deserve, and your pets too. Yes, your pets are your family, so you should never have to choose between your lifestyle and your beloved animals. Make the Vine change at Barossa Village, under an hour from the city. Find out more at barossavillage.org.
Get more at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen with great deals on demos right across the range, all ready to drive away. And if you're impressed with our selection of cars, you'll love our service department with next day servicing, complimentary loan cars and breakfast or lunch on us. Why? Because when you're Adelaide's newest Volkswagen dealer, you want to give more. Visit mawsonlakesvw.com.au to see the range online. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
60 months interest free at Harvey Norman. Purchase with 60 months interest free and receive a bonus gift card up to the value of $500. Shop for laptops, printers, TVs, fridges, washing machines, lounges, beds and more. Minimum financed amount $1,000. Approved applicants only. 60 equal monthly payments. Interest applies if you do not comply with terms and conditions. Fees and exclusions apply. Purchase with 60 months interest free and receive a bonus gift card valued at up to $500 at Harvey Norman.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
The new FIVEaa Player app lets you listen to all your favourite FIVEaa shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
10 to 7, time to check in with SAPOL. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes joins us. Morning to you, Rebecca.
Good morning.
Now, a stolen car has led to a big drug bust yesterday.
Yes, this only happened a few hours ago. About 4 a.m. this morning, the attendant at a service station on Port Wakefield Road, Paralawi, noticed a man acting suspiciously trying to obtain fuel in a silver Toyota Hilux ute. A quick check by the attendant revealed that the plates didn't match the car and police were alerted. He didn't turn the fuel on and the Toyota Hilux left towards Kings Road and was subsequently cited by a patrol on Salisbury Highway at Mawson Lakes. Polair was called in and was quickly overhead, and when the patrol signalled for the ute to pull over, it took off at speed. It wasn't pursued by the patrol, but Polair managed to track it to a property at Waterloo Corner, where they actually saw the two occupants run and hide in a shed. They called in police dog Zeus and his handler, and they located and arrested the pair. They're a 33-year-old Virginia man and a 30-year-old Two Wells woman, and they've both been charged with the illegal use of the stolen ute. Checks revealed that that had been stolen along with its keys during a break-in at Mile End in May, so it has been getting around for about a month or two.
Good work, yeah.
Yeah, it was towed from the scene for forensic investigation. And also during the search of that Waterloo Corner property that the pair had led us to, we actually found 5 cannabis plants growing hydroponically in a grow house there, and investigations are continuing with the occupants of that property. So the man and woman that led us there are not necessarily linked to that property, obviously have some sort of connections, but it's not where they live. So we'll be speaking with the occupants there about the cannabis plants that we found.
Very good work. Good on you, Rebecca. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes from SAPOL. Tom Bowick is the senior forecaster at the Weather Bureau this morning. Morning to you, Tom.
G'day, Dave and Will.
So, rain, more rain.
Yeah, look, it is a little bit off and on. We'll try and give you some dry periods in there, but it's a bit of low cloud around this morning on the hills and fog there, so we've got a road weather alert. So there's probably not too many showers around this morning. I think it'll be mainly dry, but there is a cloud band developing from the west. So, yeah, the morning period sort of, as I said, somewhat dry, but some showers developing again as we sort of move into the afternoon and evening. Maximum of 16 degrees. For Wednesday, again, probably sort of 1 or 2 showers around from time to time. We're sort of between systems on that day, so there'll be dry periods there as well on 17. And similarly at first on Thursday, but then a more vigorous front sort of expected to be affecting Adelaide for later Thursday and Friday there, and that'll increase the amount of showers there again from later Thursday to a very high chance, even a chance of a thunderstorm late Thursday into early Friday there. 17 for Thursday, 15 for Friday. Saturday, an easing day, but still a high chance of showers and only 14 degrees, so pretty cold conditions coming as that front moves through there. Further easing on Sunday with just 1 or 2 showers and 15, and similar sort of conditions for Monday as well there, guys.
Good on you, Tom. Thank you for that. Senior forecaster Tom Bowick at the Weather Bureau. Sue sent us a message on Twitter, and this is something we'll follow up with Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick after 8 o'clock today. Sue asks, I notice Victoria has a list of exposure sites for the removalists that came into South Australia. Did they not stop anywhere in SA for refreshments on their way back to New South Wales?
It doesn't sound like
it
they
doesn't
did.
sound like they did. Well, SA Health's understanding is they didn't to this point. They're still doing a little bit of contact tracing, but they sounded yesterday very confident, Sue, that there were no new exposure sites in South Australia, but something we will pursue a little bit later in the show.
And there's another Sue on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line who wants us to ask SA Health about the situation she's in with her partner, who's due to visit a relative on the Gold Coast for a week from Friday. Sue says she's doing the airport run for her partner both ways. Does that mean she's required to quarantine for 2 weeks at home?
I tell you,
I'm not going to guess the answer, Sue.
Having come through the airport to ostensibly go into quarantine, it was only for 12 hours late last week, but officially we're coming back to do 14 days of quarantine. You go through the border checkpoint, which people may have been through before, where you've got to fill out your paperwork, they ask you questions and where you've been and tell you your obligations. But from that point on, you leave the airport like a normal person. You go down to the bag check. You go down to... Well, as I was walking, I thought, there's no instruction about can you get in a cab?
Yeah.
Now, I had my parents pick up and we did the car drop-off like a 1980s spy thriller. It was like... the keys were, left under the left tyre and, I knew where the car was parked. We did that
Seriously?
we did that kind of thing.
Did your dad ring you and say the eagle has landed?
The eagle has landed, that's right. But
the fat man wears a Panama hat.
It's funny, I don't think that's the public's perception necessarily of what happens after you get directed to home quarantine.
No.
You go down to bag check and then make your way home, however you like.
Maybe,
jump in an Uber.
Grab a Subway before you do it. Or,
Yeah.
So
we'll talk about that, Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick, after 8 o'clock today.
Get ready to own the city with the Kia Picanto GT hatch. Turn heads with a razor-sharp sports body kit and 16-inch alloy wheels. Inspire your inner enthusiast and tackle the toughest of corners with ride and handling fine-tuned for Australian roads. Feel the excitement from the punchy turbocharged engine and immerse yourself in the sports-inspired cockpit. Book a test drive for your chance to own the city in a Kia Picanto GT hatch. For more details or warranty terms, go to kia.com.au.
Once it's gone in Dreamland's once-a-year warehouse sale.
That's right, our warehouses are full, so right now it all has to go. With savings of up to 50% off big brand Australian mattresses and ensembles like Sealy Posturepedic, Sleepmaker, Exclusive Sleep Haven, Restopedic and Utopia. Plus there's huge savings on bed frames, bedroom furniture, adjustable beds and Manchester. With savings up to 50% off, don't miss out on a great night's sleep in Dreamland's once-a-year warehouse sale.
It'll soon be gone.
When we went and visited Toop and Toop Real Estate a while back, one of my greatest memories of it is the fact that this is a real estate agency with a software development arm.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, David.
No.
I didn't know that was a thing that existed. But they have a whole room full of software engineers coming up with stuff like Toop Assist, which is great for self-managing landlords, where you can pick whatever property management help you need without entering into a full agreement.
That's right. You can just dip in and out. And it means that landlords can just get the help that they need at the specific time that they need it.
Yeah, there's many services on offer too. Advertising you can get. You can find a tenant, do reference checks via the app, inspections, photography, marketing, tribunal hearings. You can even process insurance claims via this app.
As Will said, it's cutting-edge stuff, and it's because Toop and Toop are the property management specialists. They've got 35 years' experience, and it's great that their knowledge and expertise can be tapped into as you need it.
So if you need a hand managing your rental property or just want some expert advice, chat with Toop and Toop Property Management on 8362 8888 or visit assist.toop.com.au.
We reimagine the security of today. Innovative solutions that improve safety, create value, and accelerate business growth. For now and well into the future. Wilson Security. Innovating security for tomorrow.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
The new 5AA Player app lets you listen to all your favourite 5AA shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
2 minutes to 7, big TV night tonight. MasterChef finale part 2. So what is this? Desserts and scores, basically.
Just desserts,
Yeah.
and it's that I can never remember his name. Peter. Help me out, folks. The bloke who makes those crazy desserts like the snow egg.
Oh,
some
yeah.
gravity-defying, gas-filled, Ferran Adria inspired. Peter Gilmore.
They have. There's something a little different. The Australian revealed yesterday that there is a investigation ongoing into what they generally term as abnormal betting patterns as it pertains to MasterChef. And the evidence, according to the Oz, lies in the timetable of of what changed betting-wise. The Oz reported yesterday that the betting plunge occurred almost immediately after the filming of the finale. It took place on the 12th of May and into the early hours of the 13th of May. And there was a sudden betting plunge immediately after that happened. But something different happened this year that Endemol Shine that make the show have confirmed as true. This year's the first time they've only filmed one ending. Now, typically they film two endings, and in part it is to prevent this kind of thing. So you can't be someone on set who thinks, oh, hang on, there was a turn up for the books, I can go put $1,000 on that, make a nice little collect. They filmed two endings. This year they didn't. Obviously COVID and there were restrictions and things that got in the way. But there was a huge turnaround in the betting markets on the day of the grand final. So Endemol Shine have said from next year they're going to go back to the filming of the two endings, which I actually think...
I reckon the expectation, everyone who's been watching the show will think that London to a brick, Kishwa is going to win.
Right.
She's a sensational cook, even though she's been criticised for being too one-dimensional. Everything tends to be turned into a curry, albeit one that you would, do anything to wrap your teeth around. But brilliant cook. But, yeah, the word on social media suggests that she doesn't win.
I find there's something particularly... I mean, everything's manufactured and sometimes cruel about reality television, but the idea you've got to stand there and do a fake I've won moment.
Oh, yeah, totally.
These people aren't professional actors either.
No.
The idea you've got to stand there and, David, you are the MasterChef champion. Everyone gives you the round of applause. The confetti falls for the ceiling.
Well, it's a bit like the Poms being criticised yesterday for taking their "you've come second" medallions off.
Yeah, that's right.
After the presentation ceremony, like, oh, fantastic. You might as well write the letter L on my head.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how it all plays out tonight. The MasterChef finale, embroiled in scandal. Not because of MasterChef, but other people.
Yeah.
Now, we got a call from Sandy. Separate incidents causing gridlock on Greenhill Road this morning. Burst water main at Goodwood Road and roadworks at Parkside Glen Osmond Road. So there's a couple of things that are causing all sorts of issues. We'll keep an eye on it. If you get caught up in it, do let us know, and we'll keep you right across the morning. 8223 0000 our number.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers increasing in 16 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. physioextra.com.
The State Transition Committee will meet today, easing border restrictions with parts of Queensland, including Brisbane, Moreton Bay and the Gold and Sunshine Coasts will be on the agenda. SA authorities are also monitoring the situation in New South Wales. Meantime, contact tracers are working to establish any exposure sites linked to the COVID-positive removalist who visited South Australia late last week. Sydney businesses are expected to receive a lifeline today when the New South Wales and federal governments announce a joint relief package. 112 new infections were reported yesterday. New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro has told Today the city should brace for more large numbers today.
We haven't hit the peak. My sense is we'll see similar numbers to yesterday. Those numbers haven't come in officially yet. But the way that it's been trending, there's no reason to expect anything less than the same sort of numbers as yesterday, maybe a tad higher. It's the rollercoaster ride we're on.
The Trans-Tasman bubble is once again open to Queenslanders. Nine's Laura Anderson reports.
Queenslanders can once again head across the ditch without being forced into hotel quarantine. They will, however, need to return a negative COVID test before departure and complete a travel declaration. The bubble was paused 2 weeks ago after local cases of COVID-19 were recorded in the community and a lockdown declared in the southeast and Townsville. But with the state's outbreaks under control, it recommenced at midnight. The bubble with New South Wales remains on hold.
The United Nations has warned that levels of hunger around the world are rising dramatically because of the pandemic. 1/10 of the global population, or 800 million people, is undernourished. The usual drivers, climate extremes, conflict and economic woes, have been exacerbated by the virus. The US President says America stands with the people of Cuba, where thousands of protesters have taken to the streets. Nine's Michael Genovese reports.
In a statement, Joe Biden has defended the right of Cubans to protest against the country's authoritarian government. In rallies not seen in decades, thousands took to the streets, demanding access to food, medicine and the COVID-19 vaccine. President Miguel Diaz-Canel is ignoring calls for his resignation, blaming the United States trade ban for the worsening economic crisis.
A much-needed shot in the arm for Hollywood, with Black Widow proving a big success at the box office. The first Marvel film released in 2 years, making more than $200 million worldwide in its opening weekend. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get $200 cash back on Bosch washer dryer packages at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. The Eagles are clinging to a spot in the top 8, suffering their third straight loss, this time to North Melbourne. West Coast humbled 70-60 by the last-placed Kangaroos at home. Skipper Luke Shuey says they struggled to implement what they've been working on.
We tried a few things tonight and it might not have looked like that they worked. Obviously the ball movement probably looked similar on a wet night, so we weren't able to get a lot going, but hopefully in the next short period of time, over 3 or 4 weeks, we can start to see some real improvement.
The Eagles next take on Adelaide, who returned to the training track this morning. Much attention will be on the fitness of Taylor Walker, who will look to return after missing last week's clash against Essendon due to a neck issue. Well, the Wallabies will be looking for an improved performance in their second test against France tonight in Melbourne. Australia escaped with a last-minute victory at Suncorp Stadium last week. 5-time NBL champion winning coach Trevor Gleeson will depart his role as coach of the Perth Wildcats to take up a role in the NBA. He's yet to reveal what team he'll be heading to. Meantime, in the NBA, Milwaukee has fought back in the championship series against Phoenix, taking out Game 3 thanks to a brilliant display from Giannis Antetokounmpo. He scored 41 points in the 20-point victory. The Bucks still trailing, though, in their best-of-7 series, 2-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Air Conditioning Warehouse Sales has Adelaide's biggest air conditioning brands and best prices. airwaresales.com.au.
At Cuddly Creek, got a rock slide on Gorge Road affecting traffic. Take care there. Brahma Lodge got a burst water main, Park Terrace near Southdown Terrace. Sterling, broken down car on the freeway. That's inbound with speeds reduced. Down at Wavell, another burst water main there. That's Goodwood Road near Green Hill Road. As you're heading out of town, got a left-hand lane closed there. Speed cameras this morning to look out for: Mortimer Street, Carralda Park and Old Port Wakefield Road of Virginia. Australian Survivor is finally here. 7:30 Sunday. The unmissable season of Survivor begins on 10. Then next Wednesday, meet Australia's new Bachelor. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
Showers increasing today and 16, showers tomorrow 17, and more of the same again on Thursday, showers and 17. Right now it's 11 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
Absolute Mountain text here. Joe in Camden Park says, unfortunately, with 8 billion people on Earth, someone's got to die of something. That's just life. I've had both my jabs and I am fine. Then Graham says, I don't think having the vaccine eliminates COVID, it lowers the symptoms. Indeed it does. Yep. That's why everyone should take it. Same way you take the flu vaccine, you don't get the flu, or you don't get the flu as badly. You can soldier on, to paraphrase the ad.
Revelation yesterday that 3 of his players that missed penalties have been racially vilified on social media. Vincent McAviney is our London correspondent.
But I did end up having to work last night, and I just knew that I didn't really want to get anywhere near Wembley. I didn't want to be in Leicester Square or Trafalgar Square because, we've seen for decades England fans, so-called fans, going abroad to other cities, hosting these competitions and just being an absolute embarrassment. And I think this brought it home just how embarrassing these people are.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Eight after 7, good morning to you if you're just joining us on another wet Adelaide day. We've got Phil Curry coming up for you from Canberra after 7:30. We'll talk federal politics with Phil. Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick from SA Health after 8 o'clock. A couple of other issues we're going to get across this morning. Big drug lab bust here in South Australia, and also a big drug lab proposal for here in South Australia. One is illegal, the other is excellent.
Yeah.
But we'll get down to the nuance a little bit later in the conversation.
The yin-yang of drug labs, only on 5AA Breakfast.
That's what we do. Let's talk about what is the big conversation point out of yesterday. Authorities yesterday revealed that a woman lost her 4-day fight for life in the Royal Adelaide Hospital after developing a rare bleeding disorder linked to the AstraZeneca vaccine. It was one of a host of big topics that came up in a press conference with Stephen Marshall yesterday and SA Health, including the revelation that SA Health were looking to learn more about the movements of some removalists from New South Wales who visited SA for a week for travel, one of whom had the Delta strain of the coronavirus. The good news out of that one, though, it does seem that the initial inquiries, according to the Times' reporting and Andrew Huff this morning, they looked at QR code data as well. They've not uncovered any exposure sites for South Australia. There are some in Victoria, but it doesn't seem they stopped anywhere but the place to drop the furniture off here in McLaren Vale in South Australia.
And the family of four are all isolating, so they're doing the right thing. I'll tell you what, while we're off, what about those... The unsung heroes of SA in the last month, and it was great that the Tigers had tracked them down and got all those wonderful photographs, was the miner, the FIVEaa miner and his family.
Absolutely.
Who just went, yeah, all right, that might be us. Didn't leave the house. Like, if they'd been out in the community, God knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
You know, everyone might have spent the entirety of our 2-week school holiday family break. Everybody might have been stuck inside, and it was touch and go whether we were going to go in a lockdown 2 weeks ago. But that family, and this is where just, you know, head down, bum up, do the right thing. You know, sometimes whether deep down you agree with it or not, but if you're told this is what you got to do it. And it sounds like the same thing's happening again with this family in McLaren Vale.
Or to go a step further, and this is where these guys are so good, don't wait to be told.
Yeah.
If you've got an inkling that something might be there's some risk involved at a time like this, when we're talking about stakes like they are, and we've seen how it plays out in New South Wales, no one's told me I can't do it. Can't be the attitude.
Well, this is the sad thing in Sydney, and part of it's a multicultural thing, part of it's people just thinking they can do whatever they like. I mean, you know, for all the flack southwestern Sydney has copped, which is predominantly, you know, Arabic Australians, a lot of African communities, a lot of Vietnamese communities, mainly Arabic though. You look at the footage from Coogee, you know, a white as white beachside suburb. It looks like it's spring break.
Yeah.
People just walking around like, oh yeah, you know, whatever.
Doesn't look like lockdown.
This is yesterday. This is yesterday.
112 cases. Stephen Marshall yesterday at the press conference acknowledged that more was going to be done with regard to the South Australia-New South Wales border.
We can see the consequences of this variant in New South Wales at the moment. We don't want a lockdown in South Australia. We want to seriously turn that tap off. We need to take this action. Otherwise, we would need to put significantly higher level restrictions internally in South Australia.
Is there ever a time for swearing? Does it ever help you make your point, or does it always diminish your point?
I've got no issue with it.
Well,
within reason.
Okay, well...
Depends on the setting.
Well...
Not on live radio.
Let me put this to you then. The setting is the former leader of the Labor Party on the ABC.
People are sick of the political class, so let me just say for the record as a politician, the vaccine rollout in Australia is a shit show, Patricia. It is just a mess. And Scotty from marketing has got to take some of the responsibility for it.
You've just sworn on national television.
Well, I just think I've said what about 25 million old people, 16 million adults think.
Yeah. I know it won him accolades on Twitter. You can say anything as vile and as abusive as you want about any Conservative on Twitter and everyone will be cheering you on.
Yep.
I don't know if the 5AA audience would love that. I'd love to hear from them about it. I think there's more sophisticated ways of making a point. You know, there is a time and a place, and
felt like an affectation to me. Totally premeditated.
And every time Bill Shorten says something like that, I wonder, is it aimed at Scott Morrison or is it aimed at Anthony Albanese?
Yeah.
Because poor old Albo, the way he's going, even though news polls got him winning the election, the hypothetical election that wasn't held last Saturday, I reckon poor old Albo, God bless him, couldn't cut his way through a wet paper bag when it comes to getting his message out.
Neither could Stephen Bradbury, but I got a feeling there's a path to victory that's Bradbury-esque for Albanese at this point.
Well, given that he's up against a Bradbury-esque figure, geez, we've had some shocking political leadership over the past decade in this country, haven't we?
Yeah, Australian politics is dominated by those that are the least worst, not the best.
I think this whole Rudd-FIVEaa thing is a really interesting illustration of how, at the moment, we have a Prime Minister who is quite indolent. You know, the whole, well, I don't hold the hose, mate. It's not a race. You know, someone needs to just give ScoMo a bit of a clip behind the ears and say, hey, mate, you're actually in charge. You're running the show. But then Rudd emerging from his hidey hole to claim responsibility for fast tracking or whatever it was with the FIVEaa business. I just read that as being a collective reflection on the post-Howard era, the paucity of prime ministerial talent this country has been afflicted by.
What about Malcolm Turnbull jumping in to support Kevin Rudd?
It just miserable ghost. But, you know, ScoMo might be indolent, but Rudd would have to be the most self-absorbed weirdo this country's ever been afflicted by. Seriously.
Now, we've got a nice... Francis on the FIVEaa Facebook live stream this morning says, check out this glorious sunrise. The view from Homo Square is anything but that this morning. It's nasty outside. But, Francis, thank you for sending us a nice-looking sunrise from where you are. Anyone else can do the same. Jump on the live stream or shoot us a text, 0448 08 1395. Rob did that earlier. Rob answered the call with regard to our asking for a little bit of help this morning. It's a big COVID news morning. But like you... Yeah, you're going to get the information. Don't worry about that. We've got you covered. But just for conversation, for the purpose of good conversation, we need a little bit of help. Rob said, when it comes to listening to yet another conversation about COVID, I'd rather have front row tickets to a Nickelback concert.
Look at this photograph.
We can't give you those tickets, Rob. And I don't think that was the point you were making. It wasn't. You weren't after the tickets. But it has...
I don't think you wanted to hear any Nickelback either.
No. So Rob's
that was the joke.
He's COVID leading into Nickelback, so it's Rob's nightmare of a morning. Sorry about that, Rob. You have inspired a good talk point, though, because Nickelback is a lot of people's secret shame musically. What is the music you like that you don't tell people about? What's your secret shame in music? 8223 0000. Again, we've totally misrepresented Rob, who's clearly made a joke at Nickelback's expense. He does not like them or COVID conversation, and he's been labelled as a Nickelback fan. We've played Nickelback, and we did it off the back of a COVID conversation. So again, Rob, the trifecta of misery for you this morning.
See, a lot of the bands I like that are regarded as rubbish, I would die on a hill defending angrily the fact that they are not rubbish. Like, I really like Air Supply, for example. And a lot of people just look at me and go, you're kidding, aren't you? I think Air Supply are a sensational band, a much maligned band. And the other person I'd throw into the mix, because he's probably the most vilified popular entertainer of the easy listening genre, and he was memorably shirt-fronted by a lippy young journo when he landed here at the Adelaide airport about 20 years ago, Barry Manilow. Why has Barry Manilow become a byword for pap? Barry Manilow is a genuine musical superstar.
Yeah. This is a safe space. We've got a $100 wireless gift card for you, 8223 0000. Let us know. Be bold and proud about your secret musical shame.
Yep.
Text them through too. But if you texting to me in this context feels like you're hiding still.
Yeah.
We want to put a voice to the shame.
We want names. Names and voices.
Voices. Waller's gift card. That's how this works. 8223 0000 or 0448 08 1395. What's your secret musical shame? 17 after 7. Let's check traffic. Thanks to Air Conditioning Warehouse Sales. They've got Adelaide's biggest air conditioning brands and best prices. Airwaresales.com.au.
At Bridgewater on the freeway at the Bridgewater exit ramp, got a large pole on the exit ramp. Take some care. Cuddly Creek got a rock slide on Gorge Road affecting traffic. Brahma Lodge burst water main there. Park Terrace near Southdown Terrace. In the city, a leaking hydrant is flooding the street on Tapley Street near Gilbert Street. And at Waveville, got another burst water main there. That's Goodwood Road near Greenhill Road. Got a left-hand lane closed. That is outbound. Your Hyundai dealer has stock available now, like the Hyundai Venue with auto transmission, now from just $25,990 drive away. Limited time only. Test drive the Hyundai Venue today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEaa.
Leon Biner.
Our state, and this is something we should be very proud of, has handled the pandemic better than any other state on the employment front. Now, this is an independent analysis from Roy Morgan's latest unemployment estimates.
9 till 12 weekdays.
South Australia has had fewer days in lockdown of any state and is the only mainland state not to experience a lockdown so far in 2021.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
Major road resurfacing works on the southeastern freeway between the toll gate and Hyson tunnels will be underway until mid-2021. Motorists should expect delays, so allow extra travel time. Visit dit.sa.gov.au/SE Freeway. A message from the Government of South Australia.
Welcome to Amy's Everyday Arena, where competitor Keith is at the barbie. Oh my, a sausage is on fire. He makes a break for it, clears a hurdle of bikes, and plonks that blazing bratwurst into the bin. Oh, and he's knocked over the shed. Luckily, when accidents happen at home, Amy can help cover it. Who helps cover the challenges of the Everyday Arena? Amy does. Optional accidental damage at home cover is available with Amy Home Building and Contents Insurance. Exclusions apply. Before buying insurance issued by Amy, read the PDS at amy.com.au.
G'day, South Australia. The Cheats here. Over the years, I've seen some great South Australian teams, but the best has to be the team from BL Shipway, who I've known for over 30 years. They've been looking after the state's hydraulic and pneumatic needs since 1953. You can find them on Richmond Road with stock on hand from quality brands like Ryco, Rexroth, Hydac and Enerpac. If you can't get to them, they'll send a Ryco 24/7 van to you anytime, anywhere. blshipway.com.au, a South Australian team you can count on.
Hi there, I'm Grishma, a Specsavers optometrist. Did you know that every Specsavers is locally owned and operated by an optometrist, just like me? We believe eye tests should reveal more, not cost more, which is why we include an OCT advanced 3D eye scan with every eye test at no extra charge. Does your optometrist? Experience the Specsavers difference and book your eye test today. We're here to look after your eye health and keep you safe in store. Visit specsavers.com.au.
The Barossa Valley is a great place to visit. You have history, wine, great food, nature, wine. What if you had one extra draw card? Your parents. Retirement units are available in safe and connected neighbourhoods just an hour from the city. We're talking about newly renovated 1, 2 and 3 bedroom homes from around 180k to 300k. They get the vine change and you get another reason to visit the Barossa. Win-win. Talk to your parents today about Barossa Village. Find out more at barossavillage.org.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
The new 5AA Player app lets you listen to all your favourite 5AA shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
21 after 7, we've been alerted to another Bill Shorten sighting. This time on Today.
Tell us what you really think, Billy. Well, it wasn't exactly Shakespeare, I acknowledge that, but don't you think that people are sick of politicians? Everyone thinks politicians think real thoughts, but then they never say them. And so I think I've just said, how else do you describe it? The vaccine rollout is a show, Carlos. It's done. He's doubled down.
Well, I said before the break I thought it was an affectation. Now I know it's one, so that's good. Exactly. Thank you for that. Now, David's called in with a secret music shame. David, good morning. Reveal your secret shame.
Yeah, mate. How you doing, boys? All right?
Good, thanks, David.
Okay, so, the Sweet, definitely in the 1970s. Fox on the Run, Ball and Blitz, the long hair, the very, very good band. I remember in primary school, year 7, turning on Fox on the Run and Boulder and Blitz, two of my specialties, for sure.
Did that feel good, David, to get off your chest? The world now knows.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good on you, David.
If you were up at 6:03, mate, you would have heard Fox on the Run because it played us into the show this morning. Quite a few texts as well. Sue in Redwood Park says, having 2 granddaughters, I really love the music from Frozen. Let It Go. You know that song, Will?
Oh, yes.
I'm not going to try to sing it. Chrissy's just texted in 2 words, George Michael. No shame in that, George Michael. Incredible talent. And Greg says Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters once said if you play any Nickelback song backwards, it sounds like Nickelback.
23 after 7, running in 5AA News across the morning. The big drug bust in Queenstown yesterday. Kimberly Pratt was covering it for 7 News. Kimberly, good morning to you.
Good morning, David and Will. How are you?
Yeah, we're well. So just take us through the setting, the place, and what transpired yesterday.
Well, we were actually there on Saturday, and this big clandestine lab was being dismantled. You had police in the big hazmat suits. You had firefighters coming on board to assist them, and they started pulling out these giant machines. It was a big commercial pill press machine, a commercial chemical mixer, a bottling machine, and we were like, what is going on inside this tiny commercial, suburban shop in Queenstown? And then as it happened, 3 men faced Port Adelaide Magistrates Court yesterday, and we got a little bit more detail about what's been going. And they're accused of manufacturing steroids, so prescription drugs, inside that shop. 2 of them were a father and son, and they were arrested at the scene. They're accused of the manufacture, and another man is accused of making regular deliveries via Australia Post. And that, David and Will, is how it was all set up. This investigation was a tip-off from Australia Post.
I would have thought that you'd want to think long and hard before you take a steroid that somebody's made in their own backyard, given the links to aberrant behaviour and, violent outbursts and what have you. I mean, it'd be a pretty loose sort of an operation. These people aren't, necessarily card-carrying biochemists, are they?
No degrees were mentioned in court yesterday. So I can't speak for their qualifications, but the setup was industrial size, as the police said yesterday. So they had quite an operation. It's alleged that these drugs were going across the country. Police alleged in court that this operation had been running for some months before the tip-off from Australia Post a few weeks ago.
Yeah, right. Good bust.
Certainly is. Yeah, it
That's
sounds like something
it.
out of Breaking Bad. Thank you for that, Kimberly. Kimberly Pratts for 7 News here in Adelaide.
No degrees were mentioned.
There, it was excellent. Now, I think what we need to do is go back and give David the $100 Waller's gift card. And this is why. We've received hundreds of texts from people nominating their secret shame with regard to music. And it remains a secret if you text it in. But David called in, and now we all know. We all know who David is, what he sounds like, and what he's into.
Yep.
He gets a $100 Waller's gift card. Congratulations to you, David.
A lot of love for Barry Manilow on the
text
text
line. A lot of
line.
love for Barry Manilow,
Yeah.
but not so loving that they're willing to call in and be identifiable.
Yeah, well, I put my hand up.
You did.
I'm comfortable.
You
I'm
can't get
comfortable in my own skin.
You can't get the $100 Waller's gift card though.
No, not eligible.
All right, let's talk sport. It's the Stephen Rose Sports Show coming up later today, thanks to Toyota Land Cruiser 300 Series. It's coming to North Point Toyota. Register your interest today. It is the North Point way. Yesterday, Rowie caught up with Ash Barty's mind coach, Ben Crow. They talked about the importance of mindset in sport.
You work with some of the best teams and athletes. I speak of Richmond and Steph Gilmore. Ash is another. I've heard you talk a number of times, and one of your jobs is to focus Ash of distractions. I think that'd be good. And then you've got to help Ash continually love the game and enjoy playing. What are some of the tools to that? Because there'll be a lot of parents listening to that, and athletes now be going, yeah, you're right. You get to the top level, and sometimes you fall out of love with the game. And it's important to continually to love the game.
Yeah, totally. There's so many distractions today that can sabotage our performances or sabotage our lives, really. But it's also important to remember that, sport's called a game based on the principles of compete, have fun and play. So you've got to remember that, you're at your best when you're in that kind of childlike, carefree, no consequence, having fun, celebrating the journey, if you like, and focusing more on those things. So it's important to be more just as intrinsically motivated as you are extrinsically motivated. So external is kind of, winning premierships or Grand Slams, and that's all well and good. It's important to set those goals and dreams out there and go after them. But her intrinsic motivations about getting out of her comfort zone, finding purpose and meaning in her efforts, being part of a team, and she talks about the team a lot, they're things that really motivate her a lot, just as much. And so I think that's, really important to get that perspective right, that success is not so much about winning and outcome related as it is about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to try and realise your potential. And whether you win or lose is kind of separate to that. And you can kind of separate your self-worth from whether you win or lose a game of tennis or what you look like or any kind of external validation. You can kind of own your own story.
It was an interesting interview, that, because the thing that was so striking about the way Barty played was when she lost the second set, even when she was serving for it, she would have put her up 5-4. No, she would have won. She was serving for the set, and then it went to a tiebreak, and she lost the tiebreak. So she loses. Then she comes out, and straight away she's 3-love up in the third set. And it wasn't like her world caved in.
No.
And this is where it's interesting to compare her to someone like a Kyrgios, where the guy, you just see the guy mentally disintegrating. When things don't go his way, suddenly it's like, oh, what am I doing here? And
she's an incredibly well-adjusted athlete.
Yeah.
Mentally, she's incredibly strong. And tennis seems to be particularly cruel for that.
We needed this Ben guy when the power stance was being suggested as a...
that would have been good. We could have just hired him and saved a lot of misery.
Yeah. We wouldn't have had the power stance, then we wouldn't have had the camp afterwards. We could have just said, look, just go out there and have fun, do what you do.
I like this text from Rob, who says on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line, with this big drug lab found in Queenstown, is ScoMo a little bit jealous that these guys have got a better rollout than his vaccine? Thank you, Rob. 29 minutes after 7. That was...
That's great.
That was sport. The Toyota Land Cruiser 300 Series is coming to North Point Toyota. Register your interest today. It is the North Point way.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of your weekly shop with great fresh offers. Like in-season Aussie strawberries 250-gram punnet, just $3.90. Helping lower the cost of your weekly shop. Coles. Value the Australian way. Offer ends Thursday.
There was a time when I'd put up with overcooked steak. I'd look for the least expensive meal on the menu, and yet I'd pay over the odds for the sake of fashion. I was even prepared to drink cheap wine once. But you reach a stage in life when you're no longer prepared to compromise. And that's why I choose Call Me Continence products. Drier, more comfortable, more discreet. Call Me. CORMIE. Confidence without compromise.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers increasing in 16 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
A woman has sustained minor injuries to her face and lacerations to her body after a two-car crash at Seaford. It happened just before 11 last night. A Nissan Pulsar sedan and Subaru WRX ended up slamming into a pole. The victim was initially trapped inside her vehicle but was freed by emergency services. The other driver wasn't hurt. Investigations are continuing. The State Transition Committee will discuss border restrictions today. It's likely they'll be relaxed for areas in Queensland, including Brisbane and the Gold and Sunshine Coasts. But as of midnight, the rules for entering SA from New South Wales were tightened as their COVID crisis goes from bad to worse. They recorded 112 cases yesterday. Meantime, investigations are continuing into the Sydney positive removalist who was in SA last Friday and whether he visited any locations which could be deemed as exposure sites. A member of the US Army has tested positive to coronavirus while in quarantine in the Northern Territory. The 22-year-old has been isolated at a defence facility. Opening a vaccine plant in Adelaide is back in the spotlight. Nine's Ollie Haig says the bid will head to Canberra this week.
Pharmaceutical giant Biosina looking to establish a mRNA manufacturing plant here at Theberton using its existing site previously used by Pfizer. Now it would allow it to produce highly favourable vaccines like Pfizer and also Moderna.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has confirmed that the fourth and final stage of easing coronavirus infections will go ahead next week in England, despite a rising number now. But he's urged caution and called on people to consider others.
This pandemic is not over. This disease, coronavirus, continues to carry risks for you and your family. We cannot simply revert instantly from Monday the 19th of July to life as it was before COVID.
Emmanuel Macron has announced COVID vaccinations will be mandatory for healthcare workers. The French president has given a deadline of September 15 for staff to be immunised. The BBC's Hugh Schofield has more.
In order to beat back the Delta variant and the predicted surge in hospital cases, President Macron said the answer was vaccination and then more vaccination. And so, amid recent signs that uptake of the vaccination programme has been slowing, he's decided to push ahead with compulsory inoculation for all people who come into contact with the vulnerable. In addition, the so-called health pass on paper or mobile phone, which has till now played only a marginal role in most people's lives, is set to become an indispensable tool, because from August it'll be required for simple access to bars, cafes, shopping centres, planes and long-distance trains, as well as social and cultural gatherings of more than 50 people.
South Africa has deployed soldiers to tackle unrest triggered by the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma. Shops were looted and buildings set on fire as Zuma challenged his sentence at a hearing in the top court. At least 6 people have been killed and 200 arrested since the unrest began last week. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get $200 cash back on Bosch washer dryer packages at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. West Coast is clinging to 8th spot on the AFL ladder following last night's shock 10-point loss to North Melbourne. It's the Eagles' 3rd straight loss, while the Kangaroos are still bottom but are now only half a game behind Hawthorn. West Coast now turns its attention to Adelaide here at Adelaide Oval on Sunday. The Eagles' hopeful star midfielder Elliot Yeo will recover from an ankle injury. The Crows, meantime, will be hoping Taylor Walker will be available for that match, having missed last week's clash against Essendon due to a neck injury. Well, the 3rd T20 match between Australia and the West Indies gets underway in a couple of hours in St Lucia. The home side 2-0 up in the series with no Aussie batting at number 4 or lower, reaching 20 runs so far. Assistant coach Andrew McDonald says the role batsman playing the Big Bash is having an effect on the national side.
Whether you like it or not, at Big Bash level, a lot of the teams are going to use their best resources at 1, 2, 3 and 4 because they're there to win the games as well at that level. So would it be nice to have players batting in the middle order? Of course it would be.
The Australian Boomers will take on the USA later this morning in a warm-up game for the Olympics. And in some tennis, top seed Petra Kvitova has suffered an upset loss to a Slovak qualifier in the first round of the Prague Open. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Air Conditioning Warehouse Sales has Adelaide's biggest air conditioning brands and best prices. airwaresales.com.au.
At Bridgewater on the freeway, at the Bridgewater exit ramp, large pole on the exit ramp. Cuddly Creek, we've got a rock slide on the Gorge Road affecting traffic. Take care there. Brahma Lodge, burst water main, Park Terrace near Southbound Terrace, and another burst water main at Wayville this morning. That's Goodwood Road near Greenhill Road. Got a left-hand lane closed. Parkside, got some night works which are carrying on a bit later than normal. That's Greenhill Road and Glen Osmond Road. Access is restricted. Detours in place probably till around 7:30 or 8 o'clock this morning. Shop local with Adelaide Central Market online. The best fresh produce and goodies hand-picked by market traders to your door. Order now. Deliver every Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
Showers increasing 16 today, showers tomorrow 17 and more of the same again on Thursday. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Taking time to listen can make all the difference. Farrell & O'Neill Funerals is a South Australian family company committed to guiding and supporting families at an emotional time. We value a lifetime by offering a compassionate, caring and unique service with attention to the smallest detail. Finding guidance through a difficult time can be comforting. Farrell & O'Neill Funerals, 8296 3134.
Get more at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen with great deals on demos right across the range, all ready to drive away. And if you're impressed with our selection of cars, you'll love our service department with next day servicing, complimentary loan cars and breakfast or lunch on us. Why? Because when you're Adelaide's newest Volkswagen dealer, you want to give more. Visit mawsonlakesvw.com.au to see the range online. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Schools, councils and businesses all over South Australia choose Leader Computers. For very important reasons. Leader is local and exceptional value. No matter what happens, Leader can be on site to fix your problem.
No overseas or interstate call centres to deal with. Plus, Leader Computers is a 100% owned and operated South Australian company offering fast same-day delivery and setup. That's why so many organisations rely on Leader. Google Leader Computers to find your closest Leader reseller.
The new FIVEaa Player app lets you listen to all your favourite FIVEaa shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 to 8. John Blake before 8 o'clock, then after 8, Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick from SA Health. We're going to talk weather in about 10 minutes' time. There's got to be a weather angle other than rain at the moment, doesn't there?
No. It doesn't appear to be.
I think I've looked at the forecast and I'm into day 2 of introducing every topic about rain about the weather by saying lots of rain on the way.
Yep.
I need something fresh and new for the weather cross in 10 minutes' time. I'm getting anxious about it.
I'm looking at the bomb app now. Clouds, 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 clouds till Monday. 80%, 90%, 95, 80,
I'll
60,
try and come
60.
up with something. In the meantime, let's talk federal politics. Phil Curry from the Fin Review joins us. Morning to you, Phil.
Hi guys, we could do frost, fog and misery if you like.
Let's stick with the rain.
That pretty much describes 3 months of the year in Canberra, doesn't it, Phil?
Oh, 6, yeah.
6.
And Andy, my wife's flight got cancelled yesterday because we had a pea super, mate, which I know you love that term. Yeah.
Phil, you know what the problem is, Phil? I've really enjoyed this segment.
But it's over.
It's been a good decade, mate.
It's just a shame that it would end under such circumstances.
It really grinds his gears, Phil. I don't know why.
I know. I like it. It's good.
Just a figure of speech.
One of
to
many
most
things.
normal people.
Yeah, normal being the operative word. Let's talk federal politics and some other not normal people. Yeah. Now, the big brouhaha early in the week about whose responsibility it was to put together a financial support package for businesses in New South Wales, Phil. And it sounds like the state governments and when the federal government have both come up with a plan.
Yeah, look, they've done it together, which makes sense. And it doesn't make sense having federal government doing something and the states doing something. So, look, it just shows how this thing just has got away from us again. I mean, only 3 weeks ago, when Melbourne had their 2-week lockdown, they agreed, the states and the Commonwealth, that in future lockdowns the feds would give out these sort of disaster relief payments, about $500 or $350 a week, and the states would look after business assistance. And that plan didn't last a month. Then we've got this Sydney outbreak, which is much more serious than what happened in Melbourne and is potentially going to be catastrophic. I think Sydney's going to be locked down for at least a month. That seems to be the view. And so what they announced 3 weeks ago isn't going to cut it. I mean, they just haven't locked down hard enough in Sydney, and this thing's got away from their tracking system. So it's going to be a pretty severe lockdown. It's hopefully not as big as bad as the one Melbourne had last year, but they're going to have to go pretty hard, and that means a lot of shops and everything's going to have to shut again, and all the horror that comes with that. So they're going to announce today. I think they're going to bolster those disaster payments. So it was $350 if you worked less than $20 a week, 20 hours a week, and $500 if you worked more than 20 hours. They're going to increase that level. They're going to make those payments easier to access, but the bigger thing will be businesses will be given money, just given cash, 50-50 basis with the Commonwealth, so they can, cover their overheads whilst they're locked down.
And Phil, speaking of more money in your pocket, Labor, who are sitting pretty in the latest news poll, are taking tax cuts as part of their pre-election pitch.
Oh, so this is an old story, Dave, that's been around, and so actually these are what are known as the Stage 3 tax cuts, and they've already passed through the Parliament. They passed through just after the last election, and these are massive. If you're earning once these come into effect in 2024, if you're earning between $45,000 and $200,000, or all earnings between that bracket will only attract a 30% tax rate. It's a massive sort of reform. It's almost like having a flat tax rate. Now, they've been controversial because they were legislated a long time ago before the budget went down the toilet, and they cost a lot of money, and they help a lot of low and middle income earners, but also help a lot of high income earners. And so Labor's been in this thing says, look, we'll make our decision closer to the next election whether we're going to back these in or not if we win the election. There was a big school of thought that should they win, they should try and revoke them or cut them in half, wind them back a bit and use the money for other stuff. Now, they were being set up for another sort of repeat of the last election campaign of, high taxing Labor and that sort of thing. So they had a big internal discussion and they resolved over the last few days. They haven't sort of signed off on it at a caucus level, but the leadership has. They just, if they win, they're just going to leave them alone. They're not going to try and unravel them. It's just all too hard. So they will stay. It's a bit like the coalition earlier this year. They had a look at trying to unravel the superannuation guarantee. Whether you're meant to get that's meant to go to 12% by 2025, and in the end, it's already in law and it's too hard. So it's a similar decision to that.
We played a little bit earlier, Phil. Bill Shorten's outburst on the ABC yesterday. He swore on air, and he's doing a victory lap about it on Breakfast TV this morning.
Right. Look at me.
Yeah, a bit of that stuff.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, he was having a go at the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, but was his real target Anthony Albanese?
Oh, who knows? There's all a bit of grandstanding at the moment. I mean, the federal government's a slow-moving target at the moment because of the vaccine rollout. We had Kevin Rudd, jumping in, reminding us in the last couple of days why he annoyed us all. There's carefully leaked letter saying, "Look, I rang the head of Pfizer too, and help me with these extra vials." And then,
I mean, you leave you scratching your head who Laura Tingle Sauce was on that story, doesn't it?
Look, everyone who sticks their head up on TV or radio at the moment, Labor, Liberal, Green or whatever, it gets asked about the vaccine rollout. And so Bill was, I think, doing a regular spot on Sky yesterday and just sort of gave his 2 cents worth on what he thought of the vaccine rollout. And it was a little bit fruity, so, a few people get excited about it.
A bit of party talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bit of sailor talk, mate. Yeah.
Good on you, Phil.
Golf course. All right, boys, welcome back.
Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
Sailor talk. Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review.
Reminds me of me on the golf course. Phil is a very funny bloke to play golf with.
16 minutes.
Far too seriously.
Until 8, let's check traffic. Air conditioning warehouse sales of Adelaide's biggest air conditioning brands and best prices. airwaresales.com.au.
At Cuddly Creek, got a rock slide on Gorge Road affecting traffic. Take care there. A couple of burst water mains around the place this morning. One at Waveville, Goodwood Road near Greenhill Road. That is outbound. Got a left-hand lane closed there. Another one at Brahma Lodge near Park Terrace and Southdown Terrace. Parkside, got some night works which are still going, causing delays this morning. Greenhill Road at Glen Osmond Road. Access is restricted and detours are in place. Ready to tackle a stack? Score free delivery with your KFC Zinger Stacker Burger. Only on the KFC app this Wednesday. Winner, winner, Zinger dinner. This offer not everywhere and not forever. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive of Western Hospital Henley Beach. Are you looking for a unique healthcare hub to cater for a wide range of your medical needs? Look no further. Western Hospital offers a myriad of services, from GPs to radiology, pathology, and a range of specialists operating within the hospital. So why travel to different locations for your care? Western Hospital, your hospital that cares. For more information, visit westernhospital.com.au.
Have you been to Wohlers lately? I'm Rachel Wohlers and I've always had a passion for homewares and giftware. I'd love to invite you to visit us and experience our range of fragrances, homewares, handbags, jewellery or that special gift. At Wohlers we have the names you love, like Glasshouse, Campanero and Maxwell Williams. But I also enjoy discovering local Australian designers and artists. Experience Wohlers for yourself at Mount Barker, Richmond and Tanunda.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability, get world-leading safety, and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For sales, service and hire, get a Toyota forklift.
When you think surgery, you think hospital, right? Well, Dr. Greg Keane wants you to think SportsMed.
SportsMed is the only purpose-built orthopaedic hospital in the country, with world-class nursing and theatre staff, a first-class catering team, and the latest innovations in patient treatment and care.
And your surgeons?
We're experts in all procedures for hips, knees, feet, ankles, shoulders, elbows, wrists and hands.
All your treatments, all your care. One place. SportsMed.
Start living life again after your successful surgery.
SportsMed.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
The new 5AA Player app lets you listen to all your favourite 5AA shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
13 to 8, John Blake not too far away. In a moment we'll talk with Chelsea Carey from 9 News about the weather. But first, thanks to our major sponsors, Automasters, it's time for that regional road trip. Get there and back safely. Call 1300 Automasters. Jane Riley's been all over the state checking in on some of the best places that you can go to travel. Let's find out where she is today.
Today, it's the Magpie and Stump Hotel, a great family pub in Mintaro, Clare Valley. I'm catching up with Paul Rosenick. Paul, it's a place you can take the whole family.
You got that right. That's why we wanted to move out here.
It's a great place for people to come and enjoy and relax.
We've got a beer garden out the front to die for, and that's what made us want to take this experience on ourselves, show a bit of our personality in the place. Families can come here, sit out in that front lawn, relax with a glass of wine and milk, and actually see their kids play like the good old days.
I have been there and sat in that beer garden, and it's just so relaxing, and especially, the Clare Valley, it's a beautiful part of our state. Your pub is one of the oldest ones in South Australia.
First built 1850 and found in the pub, first opened store 1851, and now it actually includes the old baker's oven, which was 1854. So the bakery and the pub have now joined together to make one lovely space full of beautiful Mintaro slate and about 6 fires in here. So I goes for a bit of firewood in the year, but it makes for a lovely ambiance.
Well, I've seen those fires, and this time of the year, the middle of winter, you couldn't imagine anything better than sitting in front of those fires, drinking some lovely Clare Valley Riesling or some Reds, and eating some of your fabulous food. Now, you've got something on the menu that is an absolute must-have.
You've got to try the stump burger.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of local items. Everything is made in-house here, down to our gravies, and using local produce to add to flavours. And it's something that we really try to connect to. As well as that, our staff, everyone is local. So we try to do as much as we can.
So, Paul, thanks so much for being part of our regional spotlight. It's great to get businesses like you on board. And that's the Magpie and Stump Hotel in Mintaro, Clare Valley. A beautiful spot to visit, and take the whole family. Bring them all along.
Thanks so much, Jane.
And we've got the opportunity for you to win a Clare Valley experience courtesy of the Magpie and Stump Hotel, including one night's accommodation at The Nest and a complimentary bottle of Clare Valley wine. Thank you very much. 8223 is the number. Get calling now. First caller through will get that prize, all thanks to the Magpie and Stump Hotel in the heart of Clare Valley since 1851. What's the matter?
We just got a text in from Tina.
Hang on. I've got to finish crediting the Magpie and Stump Hotel.
I'm sorry. That is a great pub.
Thank you.
And they've got 6 fires. Today you'd want to sit in front of all of them.
Borough Street, Mintaro. Swoop in. So they've added the swoop. I didn't want to.
I
didn't want to leave off the swoop
line.
in part. I was
They're
building
right
up to it.
Beautiful pub, beautiful town, and they're right about the beer garden.
What's the text?
The text from Tina. Watch out if you're coming up Cross Road from the south, approaching Goodwood Road. There's a man riding a bike with a mattress on his head.
Okay.
King, queen, double or single, we're not sure. Hopefully single. Always ride in single file when wearing a single mattress.
We live in a world
rule to live by.
Can't not 2 mattresses abreast. It's against the rules.
I
Somebody
had a
send us a
recent brush
picture
with
of that.
the law, which I might talk about at some point.
Yeah, okay.
Hopefully they get the mattress man and give him the similar treatment to me.
Got to send us a picture of the mattress man, and we can share it to the masses. Every human being has a camera these days. I want to see this. Let's talk weather. Chelsea Carey for 9 News joins us. Chelsea, maybe we should just focus on when it's going to be dry. Do we have any of that coming up?
We do. We do have a couple of dry periods, but yeah, it's really a truly wintry week on the way. At the moment, it's sitting on 10 degrees in the city. We have a top of 16 today. Now, it is going to be a cloudy morning, but for the most part, this morning it will be dry. We're not expecting to see the showers until late this afternoon, so get out and do what you need to do this morning, I think. And then we'll see anywhere between 3 to 8 millimetres of rain late today and into tonight. Showers persisting into early tomorrow morning. Then we should have a break in the weather during the daylight hours tomorrow. So just some cloud around at a top of 17 degrees. But then, of course, the showers aren't too far away. They're set to return tomorrow evening. And the wet weather really picks up later in the week. From around Thursday afternoon, we could see up to 10 millimetres of rain on Thursday, between 6 and 15 millimetres across the plains on Friday. Now, the winds will strengthen on Friday as well. So really, Friday is a good day to spend inside, I think, in showers and windy on Saturday morning. And then conditions will ease over the weekend with still a couple of showers around. So a couple of dry periods in there, but really the second week of the school holidays might just consist of a few more board games inside, I think.
Fire up the Yahtzee. Good on you, Chelsea.
Good advice.
Maybe the mattress guy's wearing the mattress because of the rainfall.
Yeah, he's just trying to keep dry.
Yeah, maybe he hasn't got a raincoat. He
Yeah.
thought, well, I'll just grab something close to hand. I know, I'll get
I'll
the
take
mattress
the
off
mattress
bed.
with me.
Yeah.
He gets tired on the ride.
Ideas,
It
man.
happens. Chelsea Carey from 9 News. Congrats too to Angela from Kensington Park, who wins the Magpie and Stump experience. It's 7 to 8. John Blake coming up in just a moment.
Get more at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen with great deals on demos right across the range, all ready to drive away. And if you're impressed with our selection of cars, you'll love our service department with next day servicing, complimentary loan cars and breakfast or lunch on us. Why? Because when you're Adelaide's newest Volkswagen dealer, you want to give more. Visit mawsonlakesvw.com.au to see the range online. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Do you like it fancy? Are you a 12-year-old single malt whiskey neat type? Or do you prefer a 6-pack of rum and coke? Are you a fancy craft brewed pale ale type? Or just after a box of beers for the party? Are you looking for a fancy French champagne as a gift? Or a good cheap red for Friday night pizzas? Whatever you fancy, you'll find it at FIVEaa. FIVEaa, your local independent SA family liquor stores. Dedicated, warm-hearted, friendly. Does this sound like you? At Home Care Plus, we support people living with a disability, and we're seeking people like you to fill flexible, secure, casual positions. Home Care Plus will support you with any training you need and pay for it. There are fantastic opportunities managing or coordinating our support teams too. If you want to connect to others in need, connect to us first. Go to homecareplus.asn.au. Home Care Plus, a South Australian company dedicated to supporting the potential of others.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive of Western Hospital, Henley Beach. With the rising cost of health insurance, some people don't know that you can pay for your procedures in a private hospital, which means no lengthy waiting times in the public system. Once you have a referral to a specialist from your GP, call us for a quote on 8159 1200. That's 8159 1200. Western Hospital, your hospital that cares. For more information, visit westernhospital.com.au.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
The new FIVEaa player app lets you listen to all your favourite FIVEaa shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 to 8. Breaking at 8 coming up after 8 o'clock. Now, you've got in front of you a very official-looking document from SAPOL. Is it related to breaking at 8?
No. It's related to something that has not happened to me for 10 years. I got a speeding fine yesterday. I got caught at 12:01 p.m. on Monday, the 28th of June, doing 58 in a 50 zone. I was on Mount Barker Road, Bridgewater. And when it turned up yesterday, I was thinking, what is this? Is it some rego reminder or something? And look, you know, I'm not complaining about it. It's been. I got 2 speeding fines in the space of a month when I moved back from Sydney, about 11 or 12 years ago now. Haven't had one since then, and prided myself on keeping my record, not blotting my copybook again. But it's interesting, you know, thinking about the police and their messaging around inattentive driving or the things that make you not concentrate. And I don't proffer any of this as an excuse. But when it happened, I'd gone to Mum and Dad's, I'd picked them up, I had Charlie with me in the back, I was driving my brand new car. This would have been like the 5th time I'd driven my new Kluger. And we're all chatting away. It was the first day of my holidays, so I was in a really good mood. We're going up to Oakbank to check out that fantastic new nursery up there, Karku, where an old workmate of yours, Jodie, works. Will, she used to work with you in hospitality at Footy Park.
Yeah, I know Jodie. Great.
So I was in a great mood. Mum and I chatting away about, garden stuff and what she wanted to buy, and we're going to have a coffee and what have you. So a new car with much faster pickup than the Hilux had, and on a stretch of road that I very rarely drive on.
So what you're saying is this is not an excuse, but this is it highlights Sapol's point about when other things are going on.
Yeah,
there are things you're not as across as you otherwise would be.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, 270.
You lose points?
I haven't even checked that. I think I lose 1 point, don't I? $272. So the fee is $180. The levy's $92. I've got a full set of points. But yeah, it's a reminder, isn't it, to just keep your wits about you.
All right, it's time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
Welcome to Mastermind. Can we have our first contestant, please? Please state your name and occupation.
Professor Nicholas Spurrier, Chief Health and Medical Health Officer.
Your special subject trying not to panic. And your time starts now. What do we do if we think there might be an outbreak of COVID-19?
Close everything.
Correct. What is the greatest invention known to mankind?
QR codes.
Correct. What do we do if someone from a COVID-19 hotspot travels from the hotspot to South Australia and then attends a football match without telling anybody?
Stop people going to the pub.
Correct. What do we do if there's a new variant that arrives from overseas?
Don't let them dance.
And we don't know how to treat it?
Close the borders.
Incorrect.
Buy toilet paper.
No.
Close the shops.
No.
Don't touch the ball.
I'm sorry, it looks like you've panicked slightly there. And after round one, you have 3 correct answers. Join us again next time on Mastermind.
Wear a mask underwater.
Thank you.
Oh, John Blake, he's just firing on all cylinders at the moment,
in
isn't
a
he?
rich vein. We will be speaking with SA Health after 8 o'clock, Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick.
That's
will be
lovely.
reassuring, I'm sure.
That's right. They're doing a great job.
John Blake will be back at 8:30 when we go behind closed doors. 82330000. Well, I just made up a new number there. 82230000 is the number. You can also text us on 0448081395.
Stick around for breaking at 8 too, folks, because I reckon we'll get calls about this. I think the thing that we're going to talk about is something that a lot of people are going to be in this boat. I think you were almost in this boat, weren't you, Will?
I am in this boat.
You are in this boat.
I'm affected by this breaking at 8.
Okay, if you're in the boat, get on the blower and we'll have a chat to you about it too.
But we don't know what it is yet.
No, exactly. All will be revealed. Be like tonight's MasterChef winner.
It's coming up.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers increasing in 16 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
FIVEaa Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. FIVEaAextra.com.
Vaccines for infectious diseases, including COVID, could be produced in Adelaide in under a year. That's the claim from the consortium pushing to establish the country's first high-tech mRNA vaccine plant in the western suburbs. Nine's Ollie Haig says they want to utilise a former Pfizer facility at Theberton.
It is a consortium of FIVEaa, Adelaide Uni, SA Health and a medical research institute. It does need $90 million to repurpose the facility, but the goal is to have vaccines being manufactured in as little as 9 months.
There's a push for a national approach to deal with the Delta variant of the COVID virus. The fast-moving mutation has forced Greater Sydney into a lockdown which could last more than a month. There are fears Delta has already spread into other states and territories. The opposition's Bill Shorten has told Today the issue must be urgently addressed.
But I am worried that we could end up having Tier 1 sites in Melbourne because of the problems in Sydney.
Border restrictions will be on the agenda when the State Transition Committee meets today. It's likely restrictions with parts of Queensland will be eased further, including opening up to Brisbane. As of midnight, SA tightened the entry requirements with New South Wales. Applications for exemptions will undergo greater scrutiny as that state recorded 112 new cases yesterday. And investigations are continuing into the Sydney removalist who was in South Australia last Friday while infectious. Contact tracing is working to compile any exposure sites. 2 people have been arrested in the northern suburbs after being spotted in a stolen ute. A patrol signalled for it to pull over, but it took off at speed. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes says Polaire tracked it to a property at Waterloo Corner.
They called in police dog Zeus and his handler, and they located and arrested the pair. They're a 33-year-old Virginia man and a 30-year-old Two Wells woman, and they've both been charged with the illegal use of the stolen ute. Checks revealed that had been stolen along with its keys during a break-in at Myland in May.
While at the property, police allegedly uncovered 5 cannabis plants growing hydroponically in a grow house. Investigations are continuing. A driver had to be freed from the wreckage following a 2-car crash south of the city last night. It happened just before 11. A Nissan Pulsar and Subaru WRX ended up slamming into a pole at Seaford. A woman has sustained minor injuries to her face and lacerations to her body. New cybersecurity standards are being drafted which could see company directors held personally accountable for attacks. Nine's Lauren Howarth has more.
A new report shows cybercrime is costing the Australian economy about $3.5 billion a year, prompting the Home Affairs Minister to declare we can't allow the criminal activity to become a significant handbrake on economic growth and digital security. The federal government is releasing a discussion paper suggesting new standards for corporate governance, smart devices and the handling of personal information. The Australian Strategic Policy Institute is pushing for mandatory reporting of attacks, arguing a national strategy is essential.
Prince William has joined the chorus of condemnation of the racial abuse directed at 3 English soccer players who missed penalties in the team's Euro final loss to Italy. Nine's Ben Avery reports from London.
The Duke of Cambridge says he's sickened by the racist abuse directed at Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Bukayo Saka, describing it as abhorrent and calling for those involved to be held accountable. The 3 England players, who are all black, were targeted online after the match, which was won by Italy as a result of those players missing their spot kicks. England manager Gareth Southgate described the abuse as unforgivable, while the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said that those responsible should, quote, crawl back under the rock from which they emerged. London's Metropolitan Police have released a statement saying they're actively investigating.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get $200 cash back on Bosch washer dryer packages at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Tom Bren.
Thank you, Mel. Adelaide defender Tom Doedee admits he's felt anger and frustration after being subbed out of last Friday night's match against Essendon due to concussion. The 24-year-old is now set to miss Sunday's clash against West Coast as he undergoes the mandatory 12-day concussion protocol set by the AFL, and he told Channel 9 it's annoyed him.
I've been pretty frustrated and angry since it happened, to be honest, because it's obviously a lot happened with it, but why did I come back and had started those thoughts? Why did I come back to the flight? Why did I put my body on the line? But then it was part of the game. Once I got over that and was told that I'm probably in the protocol and can't play, that's where the anger come, because I feel so good.
One game to wrap up round 17 last night, with North Melbourne upsetting West Coast by 10 points. England is confident they're on the brink of ending their 55-year trophy drought despite losing the Euro final to Italy. Manager Gareth Southgate says the progress made during the recent tournament shows they're on the right path.
Wanted for a long time to make playing for England fun, make playing for England enjoyable. I think our players now have that. You know, when they come away with England, I think they've had a fabulous experience. They've loved the adventure, they've loved each other's company.
Australian Rugby League Chairman Peter V'landys says there's no guarantees the NRL Grand Final will be played in Sydney due to New South Wales' battle with COVID-19. And the Milwaukee Bucks have won Game 3 of their NBA Final Series against Phoenix with a 20-point win. The Suns, though, still lead the best-of-7 series 2-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Air Conditioning Warehouse Sales has Adelaide's biggest air conditioning brands and best prices. airwaresales.com.au.
At Glenside, got a car broken down at the intersection of Green Hill Road and Portrush Road, causing delays. Cuddly Creek got a rock slide this morning. That's Gorge Road, affecting traffic. Couple of burst waterways to look out for. One at Wayville, that's on Goodwood Road near Green Hill Road, heading outbound. Left-hand lane closed. And another one at Brima Lodge. This one's Park Terrace near Southdown Terrace. Got a few extra delays this morning at Parkside. some night works are running a bit long this morning and causing delays. That's at the corner of Green Hill Road and Glen Osmond Road. Business owners, eliminate your monthly FPOS bill with SmartPay. Start pocketing more of your hard-earned dollars. Visit smartpay.com.au. Minimum turnover and T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
16 with showers increasing today, showers tomorrow 17, Thursday showers continuing 17. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
Big drug bust in Queenstown yesterday. Kimberly Pratt was covering it for 7 News.
Big clandestine lab was being dismantled. You had police in the big hazmat suit, and they started pulling out these giant machines. It was a big commercial pill press machine, a commercial chemical mixer. 3 men face Port Adelaide Magistrates Court. They're accused of manufacturing steroids.
They're a pretty loose sort of an operation. These people aren't, necessarily card-carrying biochemists, are they?
No degrees were mentioned in court yesterday.
Bill Shorten's outburst on the ABC yesterday. He swore on air and he's doing a victory lap about it on Breakfast TV this morning.
Look at me.
Yeah, bit of that stuff.
Yeah.
Ostensibly he was having a go at the Prime Minister, but was his real target Anthony Albanese?
Oh, look, who knows? There's all a bit of grandstanding at the moment. I mean, the federal government's a slow-moving target at the moment because of the vaccine rollout. We had Kevin Rudd jumping in, reminding us in the last couple of days why he annoyed us all.
Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 8, Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick from SA Health in just a moment. Already getting some terrific questions through on the Telstra Store Matt Barker text line and on Twitter as well this morning from people with queries about yesterday's scare at McLaren Vale. A couple of removalists came across from New South Wales, one with the Delta strain of COVID. Some queries too from people who have interacted with those that are under mandated quarantine conditions too, that are great questions. We'll put those to Dr. Kirkpatrick shortly. And as always, we invite your questions. You can call us as well and direct them yourself if you prefer. 8223 0000. Behind closed doors coming up after 8:30.
Janine has written in complaining about Blakey's segment. She said the segment you did on Professor Spurrier was very distasteful and rude. She didn't ask to be in the spotlight. Her job is extremely difficult, and I think she's doing an amazing job under tough circumstances. We agree, Janine, she's doing an amazing job under tough circumstances. There are times when you argue the toss about some of the calls that are made, and that's, the way things are in a free society like ours. But look, Janine, let's say if you want to go down the path of trying to tell John Blake what he can and cannot make jokes about, given that I reckon at least once a week, Will and I are the ones who are on the receiving ends of him taking the you-know-what out of us. It's like a red rag to a bull.
That's right.
I tried it once and
satire.
spent the next 6 months paying for it.
You certainly
Remember when we didn't play his Charles and Camilla sketch? Oof. That didn't end well.
No, it did not. That's why we don't censor it.
We're not in the censorship business as a general rule.
Exactly right.
There are limits, but, telling John what they are is the toughest gig in showbiz.
10 after 8, let's go breaking note.
Now, this is really interesting, I reckon, because particularly in the lead up to the current fortnight of school holidays, I think a lot of our listeners will find themselves in this boat. There's a new Choice consumer survey out that says that less than 20% of holiday makers are getting fully compensated in cash for trips that they have attempted to book. Choice says that cancellation chaos has hit the local travel sector and raises the need for some kind of new thinking about how the refund system is working. Now, consumer groups, including the peak body representing travel agents, the Australian Federation of Travel Agents, they're now backing a push for time limits to be removed on travel credits. And they say that the booking system is almost at the brink of collapse because all of these agents, they spend their entire day booking holidays that in so many cases don't end up happening. And then they spend the other 50% of their time trying to deal with cancellations or suspensions or refunds. But on the refund question, the AFTA are saying that they're the piggy in the middle, because it's the big suppliers namely the airlines, the cruise lines and the hotels that are saying, no, sorry, we're not giving you a refund, we're giving you a credit instead. And you would have had your Sydney trip, Will. What happened with the airlines with that? They didn't give you the money back, did they?
No, got credit. Oh, it depends. It's fascinating. I've spent about 5 hours on hold at Qantas in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes you get a credit. I got a refund for something. It depends.
If there's a formal announcement of a border closure, you can get a full refund, can't you?
You have to. No, this is what it is. You have to wait. If the flight gets cancelled, you get a full refund. Otherwise, you get a credit.
But if there's a border closure and the flight has not been cancelled and you say, all right, I can't get that flight because I'm not allowed to go to Sydney anymore without quarantining.
You get a credit.
You get a credit.
And
then the credit is often quite a narrow time frame to be used.
Oh, it'll be 6 or 12 months. And the same goes for hotel bookings. We've got a few in this case too. Some are terrific. Some will get it. And you ring up and they'll say, COVID, not a problem. They refund it. We've got others, though, that have said, you've got it in 6 months and here's the only dates you can use it in. There was one place in Sydney that said that to us.
Seriously?
And it was because there's a COVID outbreak there that we couldn't go. Part of the issue is that the policies that these businesses have on their website about cancellation, you can't, if you cancel 7 days beforehand, you pay half the price and get half a refund. If you cancel 24 hours, 48 hours beforehand, you get nothing back. Weren't built for an environment where suddenly borders close and people can't travel.
Yeah.
They were built as a reasonable, I think, backstop for businesses to prevent people who changed their mind or were keeping their options open or booked a few different things because they want to do other things, which is totally their right. But in an environment where you can be told the day before you are not allowed to travel, these things are just hopelessly out of date.
Hmm.
And it's not fair.
We'd love to hear from you. I reckon so many of our listeners will be in this boat. And not related to breaking it out at all, but just what we were talking about earlier with Janine's text saying she thought the Blakey skit about Professor Nicola Spurrier was over the line. Scott from Monbury has written in going, Janine, it's called humour. In the times we currently live in, we are being told daily that the world is about to end. So anything that makes us laugh is a good thing. And remember, offence is taken, not given. Thanks for that, Scott.
14 after 8, Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick from SA Health coming up in just a moment. Let's check traffic now, thanks to Air Conditioning Warehouse Sales. They've got Adelaide's biggest air conditioning brands and best prices, airwaresales.com.au.
Got a couple of burst water mains this morning, one at Brahma Lodge, Park Terrace near Southdown Terrace. At Wavell, Goodwood Road near Greenhill Road is the other one. That is outbound with the left-hand lane closed. Crayford's got speed restrictions on the freeway. They still apply for works in both directions. And cameras on the drive-in this morning, Bradley Grove, Mitchell Park, Caulfield Avenue, Clarence Gardens, and Old Port Wakefield Road at Two Wells. At Pet Barn, get 20% off Black Hawk 20-kilo dry dog food. Conditions apply. Don't miss out. Ends July 19. Pet Barn. Life's a treat. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowi's Sport Show.
Azzurri d'Italia Salute. The Cup's coming to Rome, not home. The theatre of a penalty shootout. It is next level. Now, no other sport has that emotion, the excitement, the thrill, the heartbreak. It's actually cruel. I call it sporting torture. It's unbelievable that I love it.
4 p.m. weekdays.
We were on edge and we were watching it. Imagine being the player walking to the spot.
Rowi's Sport Show on 5AA.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of your weekly shop with great fresh offers. Like in-season Aussie strawberries 250-gram punnet, just $3.90. Helping lower the cost of your weekly shop. Coles. Value the Australian way. Offer ends Thursday.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
60 months interest free at Harvey Norman. Purchase with 60 months interest free and receive a bonus gift card up to the value of $500. Shop for laptops, printers, TVs, fridges, washing machines, lounges, beds and more. Minimum financed amount $1,000. Approved applicants only. 60 equal monthly payments. Interest applies if you do not comply with terms and conditions. Fees and exclusions apply. Purchase with 60 months interest free and receive a bonus gift card valued at up to $500 at Harvey Norman.
When people walk through the doors at Pals,
The first thing they say is wow. Not only because of the size and the selection, but also because of the team. Sam and Jamie have tasted every drop. They and their team can recommend a whiskey that's just as good as that hard-to-find Japanese one, if they don't have it, that is. Or a beautiful red that's reminiscent of that outstanding cellar door you once travelled so far to visit. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
The fight is on in South Australia. The fight to save lives. The fight to find cures to diseases and illnesses. And the fight to improve care. The opponent might seem invincible, but together we can take it on. When you support the Hospital Research Foundation, you join the fight and help us hit back at disease and illness. The Hospital Research Foundation Group. Together, fight.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
The new FIVEaa Player app lets you listen to all your favourite FIVEaa shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
17 after 8. Got a text from Ali on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line that says we lost $12,000 on accommodation in Noosa last week. Sounds like a hell of a trip Ali had planned.
$12,000.
$12,000.
Jeez.
Lost or got received a credit for? Presumably got a credit, Ali.
It says lost.
Does say lost, though. Well, that's extraordinary. There are a lot of people in that boat. Let us know if it's you. 8223 That was breaking at 8 this morning. But the potential for border closures and COVID-related issues are the subject of our chat with Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick, the Deputy Chief Public Health Officer from SA Health. Dr. Kirkpatrick, good morning to you.
Good morning.
We'll start, if we can, Dr. Kirkpatrick, by just asking you for the latest on the situation in McLaren Vale with the removalists who were there last Friday. It sounds like they didn't really get out and about much into the community, and also to their credit that the family who had moved over have been doing the right thing and not leaving the house.
Absolutely. So we know there were 3 removalists who travelled over via Victoria that were delivering off some furniture and goods in Victoria, then travelled into South Australia, delivering off furniture for a family who were relocating from Western Sydney to the McLaren Vale region. Now, we know that 2 of those removalists have tested positive, and it's likely that they were infectious whilst they were here in South Australia. So it is a concern for us, and so we are stepping through a thorough risk assessment process using our contact tracers to work out if there is any risk at all for the South Australian community. Now, we know these removalists have done the right thing. They have worn masks at particular times. What we also do know about them as well is they did make some stops, and they made some petrol stops, we understand, on their way out. So we're stepping through what that means from traffic data point of view, CCTV, and working out what petrol stations they were, and also if there is any risk at all for the South Australian community. And as soon as we know that, we'll be letting people know, and we'll be looking at the QR contact tracing data. But certainly these individuals didn't use QR data at all here in the state, so we haven't needed to contact and SMS out to anyone at this point in time.
Has there been any discussion over the last few days about whether there needs to be a tightening of some of the restrictions surrounding, or not so much the restrictions, but the circumstances under which essential workers are allowed to enter South Australia?
Yes, we have actually been discussing this quite a bit over the past week around essential workers, and there has been a change now in our direction that came out over the weekend that does require all of those essential workers to have a workplace risk mitigation plan in place as well, which can be shown to an authorised officer or an SA Health representative. But we were also looking at truck driver testing, and this has come at a very appropriate time now for us to review that requirement. So we are now going to be requiring truck drivers or commercial transport and freight workers to be tested within 24 hours of arrival into South Australia, and that will come into effect at 12:01 on Thursday morning. And the reason for this is there's a national code that does require truck drivers to be tested every 7 days, and we know that there's a lot of testing happening in this space across all of the states every 7 days. But we just think with this current risk that we're seeing with New South Wales how quickly this Delta variant is spreading, that we do need to move ahead and we do need to implement changes to this. So that's why we're moving to this requirement for testing within 24 hours of arrival. We're taking 2 days to put that in place because we need to establish more testing at the border, making it easy for the truckers to get tested, and also because we need to consult out with the relevant transport bodies and the unions to make sure they're aware of these changes, because it is different to that national code and requirement. So yes, we are making changes, and this has been a very timely reminder for us that we do need to be very proactive and not sit back and think, oh, we'll just wait and see what happens. We do not want seating in our state, particularly from New South Wales.
Just to go back to the removalists for a moment, you mentioned they made a couple of stops for petrol on the way out. Was it 2?
That's our understanding. There may have been a few stops. We're just checking through that. We've now been able to speak with the third removalist, the contact tracing team, and he's been able to provide a lot of extra information to us. So now we're stepping through around different transport data as well, looking at CCTV footage, working with Department of Transport to make sure we can work out their movements and which stations they went to. It's often quite difficult to get exact pinpoint of times, locations, so we do need to step through all this information, and SAPOL is assisting us with this. So as soon as we know if it's 1 or 2 that were on the way out, if there was anything coming in, we'll communicate that out and we'll work out a clear timeline of events. But for people who are in the McLaren Vale region and they're concerned or worried, I think all the information we've had so far is that there has been no stops in those regions, and that the removalists have been in that house, done all the right things and then left. And the family as well, who relocated from Western Sydney, have done all of the right things, and there's certainly no risk that we're aware of for that particular community, given that family did test negative yesterday morning as well.
So is there the potential that there still might be some hotspots that get made public with regard to this particular case?
Yes, that's absolutely a potential that there could be a location of concern or an exposure site. And as soon as we have that information, we'll communicate that out once that's been confirmed. But we do need to look at the CCTV footage, see who actually has got out of the truck and gone and filled up the tank, etc. So we'll step through that and what that means for the risk for the community. But if there is a location, we will absolutely be putting that out. And Victorian Health last night did put out their locations as well for where these particular individuals had been in Victoria. So we'll be looking to do something similar here.
So, Dr. Kirkpatrick, given that they were pretty much in and out once they'd got their house set up in McLaren Vale and then they headed off again on the Friday, is it right to assume that would mean it would be one of the servos basically between, McLaren Vale and Pinaroo when they were on their way out of SA?
That's our understanding, yes, that they then travelled directly back to Sydney, and we're just working through what that route is and what the particular stops were that were made. But they did go straight back to Sydney. They did not go and make any stops, we understand, or overnight stays in Victoria.
It seems peculiar because there's always been the provision in the rules that if you're moving home, you've always been able to move around freely. Like if you're a returning traveller or someone's escaping domestic violence, they're always the things that are in the travel code. If you go to the SA Health's COVID website, this is the first incident of concern we've had with regard to removalists.
We have had a truck driver previously from Victoria who ended up testing positive here in the state last year. So that has been an issue for us previously. But we know that people can move freely, but we have now put these tougher restrictions in place from midnight last night. And this will now require that anyone who is relocating into South Australia or as a returning SA resident will need to now apply through the SA Health exemptions team. And the reason for that is so we can step through what their travel plans are, who's coming over with them, where are they planning on staying, etc. We know that apartment buildings and units are a concern for us, and this has been evident now in Victoria, where a particular removal delivery did occur, and it was in a complex of units, I understand. So we do need to be very mindful of the risk for the community and doing whatever we can now to reduce that risk from New South Wales.
Got a question from a listener from the ACT wondering why it's the case that the border is closed between South Australia and the ACT, given that in the Australian Capital Territory they're effectively closed to Greater Sydney and haven't had a case of community transmission for more than 12 months.
Yes, the ACT has done a fantastic job at really closing down a lot of their movement and did put a number of people into home quarantine there last week and the week prior. What we do know is that there are around 63 different access points into the ACT from New South Wales, so a number of roads coming in. Not all of those road points are manned and occupied, And the other issue we know is there has been that free movement across. So because of this additional risk that we are seeing in New South Wales, we're not yet at the point where we're feeling comfortable around the ACT. It's very disappointing for people who just live in the ACT, and we know there's been no community transmission that's been known or recorded there for a number of months. But unfortunately, we are very concerned about this Delta variant. We need to remain very vigilant around this, and hence why we have taken a New South Wales ACT approach because of where it is co-located and that risk we are seeing with the Delta variant. But these are ongoing discussions we have at SA Health with SAPOL, and then, of course, in the Transition Committee as well around the ACT. But it is at this stage still very much a concern for us.
We've had a few texts from listeners, Dr. Kirkpatrick, saying that with so many people who have returned from the eastern states or from New South Wales who currently have to quarantine at home when they return here, do the people that pick them up from the airport, like their partners and so on, like Sue who texted in about this, do they have to quarantine as well?
Yes, we have specific requirements on the SA Health website around what is involved in self-quarantine, self-isolation. So I do encourage anyone to just click on that link on the SA Health website, which does step through this. But if you are getting picked up by a family member and you're going to self-quarantine, you do need to advise us you should sit in the back seat, you should wear a mask, and then when you get to your location, then strictly self-quarantining. So family members can pick you up, same as taxi drivers can pick you up as well and drive you to your location, but you must be wearing that mask and advised to sit in the back seat. If that person is then going to quarantine with you, perhaps they're your carer or providing particular medical support to you as well, then they can undertake that period of quarantine with you and be subject to the same testing requirements as well. So there are options available to people so they can get the support they need during quarantine. But if someone is picking you up, please sit in that back seat and wear a mask. And there's some great information online on the SA Health website.
Helen's called in. Helen, you're speaking directly with the Deputy Chief Public Health Officer at SA Health.
Yes, good morning, Doctor. Could you tell me why my 78-year-old husband, who has COPD, cannot have the Pfizer vaccine? Because if he has the AstraZeneca, he has to wait 3 months for the second jab.
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you. So in terms of the Pfizer vaccine, we know that that's the preferred vaccine under the age of 60. And when we look around, well, what does the AstraZeneca mean if you are aged over 60? We know it's typically given 3 months apart. It's a safe vaccine to be using, and it is an effective vaccine as well. For COPD, there's no reason that the AstraZeneca vaccine cannot be given, and we would strongly encourage that it is given and given as soon as possible. We're then saying that people can have a 3-month gap between the 2 doses, or it can be brought forward to 8 weeks, so 2 months gap between the 2 doses, if there's an additional risk or someone's going out and about overseas, for instance, and needs to be fully vaccinated. But we're still saying it is appropriate to have that AstraZeneca vaccine. We know the 1 dose does give you very good coverage, and then you get that 12-week booster dose as well. So very confident that vaccine is an effective vaccine, and we've seen that it does reduce that risk of having serious complications or serious illness associated with COVID-19. So very, very important for the community to get vaccinated.
Dr. Kirkpatrick, thank you for your time, the Deputy Chief Public Health Officer of SA Health. It's 5AA news time. We'll be back with Fuel Watch because fuel is up. It's expensive. I had to fill up yesterday. Yikes.
Yeah. Oh.
We've got some cheap
I
spots.
thought on KI, I almost had to sell one of my kidneys to fill the car.
Well, we've got some cheap spots for you coming up right after this.
When you've been around for over a century, you know a thing or two. And Business SA and Ray White have almost 300 years between them. So when an alliance is formed between Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA, they're bringing all their experience to your business, making sure it's in top shape, whether you're buying, selling, or somewhere in between. Get in touch with the experts, Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA on 8300 0000. That's 8300 0000.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers increasing in 16 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
The push to produce mRNA vaccines locally in the wake of the pandemic is ramping up. A bid to begin manufacturing the in-demand jabs at Theberton will be presented to Canberra this week. A consortium comprising Biosina, the University of Adelaide, SA Health and the SAMRI wants to take over the existing facility. They say a $90 million reconfiguration of the site could pave the way for the vaccines to be produced in under a year. Investigations are continuing into a Sydney removalist who tested positive to COVID after visiting South Australia last Friday. He and two colleagues in two trucks moved a family to McLaren Vale from New South Wales via Victoria. Dr Emily Kirkpatrick from SA Health says they're still working through any potential exposure sites.
We do need to look at the CCTV footage, see who actually has got out of the truck and gone and filled up the tank, etc. So we'll step through that and what that means for the risk for the community. But if there is a location, we will absolutely be putting that out.
Victoria's run of no local COVID cases is over, the state recording 2 new local cases and 1 case acquired interstate. All 3 relate to a household isolating after returning from Sydney. The New South Wales and federal government are putting the finishing touches to a new COVID package to support the state. Nine's Michael Packey has more.
As New South Wales prepares for a prolonged lockdown, extra financial support is on the way. While the state will look after business, the federal government will help individuals. Welfare advocate Cassandra Goldie says it needs to be a generous package.
Got to be able to cover the basics, got to keep a roof over your head.
The COVID disaster payment is likely to be increased to $600 a week. Small business are expected to be given a wage subsidy to relieve pressure on their payroll and keep people employed. There'll also be more mental health support.
The Trans-Tasman bubble is once again open to Queenslanders. Nine's Laura Anderson has the story.
Queenslanders can once again head across the ditch without being forced into hotel quarantine. They will, however, need to return a negative COVID test before departure and complete a travel declaration. The bubble was paused 2 weeks ago after local cases of COVID-19 were recorded in the community and a lockdown declared in the southeast and Townsville. But with the state's outbreaks under control, it recommenced at midnight. The bubble with New South Wales remains on hold.
All restrictions in the UK will end in a week's time as scheduled, despite a significant increase in new COVID cases. 87% of all adults have received their first vaccine. 66% have had both shots. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says it's the right time to open up.
If we were now to delay this fourth step, for instance to September, then we would be reopening as the weather gets colder and as the virus acquires a greater natural advantage and when schools are back.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get $200 cash back on Bosch washer dryer packages at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. West Coast is clinging to 8th spot on the AFL ladder, having gone down to North Melbourne by 10 points at Optus Stadium last night. Coach Adam Simpson says the players' lack of confidence is affecting their performance.
Decision making, some unforced errors that we don't normally make. Taking the game on a little bit more. We've been trying to do that, and some hesitation with that, or a skill turnover hurts you the other way. So next time you get it, you're more hesitant. So yeah, we've got to work through it.
West Coast will now turn its attention to the Crows for this Sunday's match at Adelaide Oval. Adelaide to keep a close eye on Taylor Walker at training this morning as he tries to prove his fitness after missing last week against Essendon. Port Adelaide's players will also train today. Xavier Dersma a chance to come in after getting through the match with the Maggies, while Ryan Burton is also expected to be available. Meantime, Geelong captain Joel Selwood has signed a 1-year extension, taking the 33-year-old into a 16th season. After claiming his 6th Wimbledon title, world number 1 tennis star Novak Djokovic says he's unsure about playing at this year's Olympic Games. Djokovic says he's 50-50 on whether to play in Tokyo amid its spike in COVID cases. And Conor McGregor is promising to return better than ever after having surgery to repair his broken leg after UFC his fight. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Air Conditioning Warehouse Sales has Adelaide's biggest air conditioning brands and best prices. airwaresales.com.au.
Look out for a couple of burst water mains around the place this morning. One at Brahma Lodge Park Terrace near Southdown Terrace. The other at Wayville. That one's on Goodwood Road near Greenhill Road heading outbound. Got a left-hand lane closed. Crayfor's got speed restrictions on the freeway. They still apply for works in both directions. And busy on the drive-in Doothie Street at Malvern and Grange Street at Welland. Look out for cameras this morning. morning, Anzac Highway, Ashford and Fisher Street at Malvern. Want to save your business money at the fuel pump? With a Shell card, you can save 6 cents a litre plus 0 card fees for 6 months. Search Shell Card Radio for more. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
Showers increasing today, 16. Showers tomorrow, 17. Thursday showers continuing, 17 again. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
It's Australia's best at New Spot Motors MG. Pick up the MG ZS Compact SUV from just $21,990 drive away. Yes, just $21,990 drive away with 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty. No wonder it was voted 2021 Drive Car of the Year for best overall value. Book your MG test drive today at New Spot Motors, Hampstead Gardens and Salisbury Park. New Spot Motors for MG. MG, value since 1924. LVD 1743.
The census is coming this August. It's when every stat tells a story. Like population data, which tells mental health services where to support people in need. Remember, your answers don't just make statistics. They help build a better future for all of us. Look out for instructions on what to do. For more info, visit census.abs.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Bureau of Statistics, Canberra.
If you make a living out of being a handy person, it's handy to know that Rollerco has got you covered when it comes to parts for sliding doors and windows. Actually, I'd say you're more than covered. We stock over 3,000 different spare parts, which means you can pop in, get what you need, and get back to it. No messing around. Time's money, right? Rollerco. We'll get you rolling. 26 Jacobson Crescent, Holden Hill. Just 15 minutes from the city.
The Barossa Valley is gorgeous, which is why it makes sense to make the Vine change to retirement living in Barossa Village in Angaston, Tanunda and Nooriutpa. It's the retirement lifestyle you deserve, and your pets too. Yes, your pets are your family, so you should never have to choose between your lifestyle and your beloved animals. Make the Vine change at Barossa Village, under an hour from the city. Find out more at barossavillage.org.
The new 5AA Player app lets you listen to all your favourite 5AA shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 to 9, the state opposition have flagged concerns with increases to parking fees at hospitals. We'll speak with Shadow Health Minister Chris Picton in just a moment. But first, COVID has come to the McLaren Vale. They had a scare yesterday. What we heard at the start of the day, immediately after we came off air, didn't ultimately materialise. The language from SA Health, and we just heard Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick a moment ago, has been very reassuring about the potential exposure of the Delta strain to people in McLaren Vale. That said, you never want to read about your suburb or town being in the news or the subject of an SA Health press conference at the moment.
Yes.
But that's been the reality for McLaren Vale locals. Raylene runs the McLaren Vale Bakery at 130 Main Road and joins us now. Raylene, good morning.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
We're good, thanks, Raylene. I've visited your bakery in the past, just next to the Foodland there on the main road, and had a sensational pasty. But what was the mood like yesterday when the locals started hearing that McLaren Vale was in the news for all the wrong reasons?
Yeah, well, it didn't really affect us yesterday because it sort of came later in the day that everybody started to find out. So the day, and we shut at 3:30 on a Sunday, so the day sort of pretty much had finished.
Yeah.
By the time we all found out. So this morning is a little bit different. Everybody's just taking it a bit more seriously, I think.
Has anyone changed their behaviour? Like, has anyone sort of thought, I might just, pull back on going out or what have you?
Well, not as far as we can tell yet. It's probably still early days.
Yeah.
So thankfully.
Well, it all sounds positive, doesn't it? I mean,
yes.
It doesn't sound like they went to your bakery. It doesn't sound like they were wandering up and down doing any wine tastings or anything.
Well, fingers crossed that they had a packed lunch.
Hey, Raylene, how do people go QR code-wise in McLaren Vale coming into the bakery? They're pretty good?
Well, we've got QR codes on every table and on all the walls, and we've got big signs up as well, just reminding people of the dangers of COVID and also the fact that there are fines for not locking in. And then all our customers, we ask as we serve them, have they clocked in?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, it's just a precaution for us and to make sure that we're protected as much as possible. So, yeah, fingers crossed everything is above board and there's no repercussions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds pretty positive at this point, Raylene.
Well, we want people to keep going into bakeries like yours. I mean, it's school holidays, and hopefully you've seen a bit of a spike of people staying down south and what have you.
Hey, Raylene, this was a family that moved from Sydney to your area. Are you getting a few people moving out to McLaren Vale? What are you finding population-wise out there?
Well, population-wise, there's always a shortage of housing and rental accommodation in McLaren Vale because obviously it's a popular place to be. But I haven't heard of any great influx, but, it's just a general, it's a good environment. It's a little country town. It's close to the city. You've got the beaches and the hills. Like, what's not to like?
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of Australia.
So
that's
close
for sure.
to town as well.
Is. Hey, Raylene, lovely to speak to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good on you, Raylene.
No problem. See you later.
Raylene from the McLaren Vale Bakery there on the main road. Daryl is a McLaren Vale local that we speak to from time to time on 5AA Breakfast. Morning to Daryl.
G'day, fellas. How you going?
We're good, thanks, mate. How are you bearing up with it all?
Pretty much the same as Raylene. We didn't hear anything much till later in the afternoon, late evening, but out and about this morning, I haven't noticed anybody running around saying the sky's falling or anything.
No one walking up and down Main Road wearing hazmat suits or anything like that?
Not that I've noticed, no, but all that you can do is, keep your eye on the TV and the radio and listen to the authorities and just do what we have to do.
Do you have some of that sense, and I've spoken to people from country areas about this too, that in McLaren Vale's, I would say barely country, but it is. It's removed enough from Adelaide that you'd feel like you're a little bit insulated from some of this COVID stuff. A lot of people I speak to out in the regions will say that COVID almost sometimes feels like a city thing, a city phenomenon. Does it change the perception at all when suddenly it is your town that's in the news, Daryl?
Yeah, well, I think that happens with any town. Like Truro got on the map for all the wrong reasons, and when something happens in your town, like an outbreak of COVID, well, everybody's going to be looking at everybody in Coles as they're walking through, aren't they?
Yeah, don't sneeze today, Daryl. People look at you very, very strangely.
No, I've had a bit of a runny nose. Woke with a bit of a runny nose this morning. I might have to go get checked.
Yeah,
I was at Coles on Sunday, so yeah.
Where do you get checked in McLaren? Is there a COVID?
Aldinga.
You got to go down near the
Aldinga
shops. Yeah,
that's the nearest one down Pridham Boulevard down at Aldinga. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, stay safe, Daryl. Good to speak to you, mate.
On you, Daryl.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
16.
McLaren Vale doesn't sound like streets of fear, does it?
No, I think
everyone's taking the news
they're all pretty good. Hey, we're getting a lot of texts about the breaking at 8 this morning. The issue with regard to credits or refunds if you travel in a COVID era. We mentioned with Ali said that they spent $12,000 on accommodation in Noosa last week that they've lost. They're not getting back. Sent through some clarification. My parents' 80th birthday celebration with the whole family, first ever big splurge. They were very harsh terms and conditions, no credit.
Yeah, well, it's hard, isn't it?
That's brutal.
You do see those places, though, that say if you cancel within a week, it's full refund. If it's less than a week, it's 50%. If it's less than 48 hours, it's 25%. And some of them say some of them just say, no, sorry, within a week, you don't get anything.
That's really tough. Another story from a listener, didn't put there, it was Jill. Jill sent us a text too on the Telstra Storm at Barker text line about a $30,000 cruise for the family for Jill's 60th. All gone.
30 grand.
I mean, they get a credit. They get a credit, but some of the people now don't want to go on a cruise, and some of the people aren't together anymore. I mean, a credit alls is great in theory if it's just you travelling or you as a couple, but when you're trying to pull together a family celebration, it's not exactly feasible to say, we'll just all gather again and get holidays at the same time sometime in the next 6 months.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
So that's brutal. It's an interesting choice of looking into it as a story. Something the state opposition are looking into is the fees for parking at hospitals. The RAH has seen prices for parking over 2 hours increased by $1. Weekly parking fees have risen by a couple of dollars. They're the second to occur at Adelaide hospitals over the past 18 months. The third increase for the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. So if you have been having to go there semi-regularly, you've been getting stung.
Two in 18 months seems a bit excessive given what inflation is, doesn't it?
Third for the QEH.
Yeah. Well, that's...
So all-day parking at the RAH is now $30. It was $29. In December 2019, it was $24. That's a significant increase. If you're going to compare it to inflation,
It's so much money.
Yeah, not like wages have been going up. Chris Picton is the Shadow Health Minister and joins us now. Chris, good morning to you.
Well, good morning, gents.
They're big increases.
Well, you're absolutely right. And, the compounding effect of those increases over the last 18 months is massive. I mean, if you're parking all day at the RA now, it's 24% higher than it was 18 months ago. And inflation is running at about 1% a year. And people's incomes, if you're a pensioner, they're not going up 24%. So this is really stinging people. People are clearly having to go to visit loved ones. They're going for appointments regularly, and they're now paying significantly more, to the point that if you're parking at the RA now, it's now more expensive than if you're in Sydney and parking at the Royal Prince Alfred Hospital there. It's like 20% more here in Adelaide, whereas if you compare normal Sydney prices in car parks, generally they're astronomically higher. So clearly this is a massive revenue raising push. The government, they promised before the last election, in fact, that they were going to make parking cheaper at hospitals, but they've done the exact opposite.
Who gets the money, Chris?
Goes straight into Treasury coffers. So this is a Treasury decision that these car park prices have gone up over the last 18 months. And it all doesn't go to the private car park operator, it goes to Treasury funds. So this is, basically a revenue raising push. At the same time that CPI is 1.2%, and the government said that they'd only be increasing fees by 1.9%. Well, we're seeing some hospital car parks have now increased by about 25%. QEH has seen some astronomical increases now, about 60%, because they got rid of the 2 hours free at the QEH as well. So there's been a doubling effect there as well.
Stephen Broadview's called in on this issue. Morning, Steve.
Good morning, boys. How are we going?
Good,
thanks, Steve.
Look, Chris, I just want to challenge you. You want your cake and eat it too, my friend, because firstly, we need more hospital beds, we need more ambulances, we need more ambos. The budget's not balancing now, and what I want to know is how are we going to make the money to pay for these things? And secondly, are you going to decrease all those fees when you come in, and then how are you going to balance the books?
Fair question from Steve there, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, though, it's a matter of priorities. I mean, if you look at this government, they're putting $662 million into a new basketball stadium at the same time that they're raising these significant increases on parking at hospitals for people who are at very stressed times in their lives. And I tell you what we won't be doing is we absolutely won't be promising that we'll reduce car park fees and have a policy to do that and then do the exact opposite after the election. So we'll release a detailed policy before the election, but we're not going to break it in the same way that Stephen Marshall has and hit people 25% more straight after the election when they promised that they'd be reducing them.
But you haven't got a position yet.
We'll absolutely be releasing a position before the election, but this is pretty outrageous that you've got this continual increase in car parking fees hitting families when, the health minister before the election said that they were fleecing families. Well, now he's the one doing that by 25% more. It's absolutely outrageous that they've broken this election promise in this way.
It's disgraceful what they're doing, but you don't know what you're going to do about it.
We'll be releasing our policies before the election. But we're not going to be doing what they've done, which is promise one thing and do the exact opposite.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Shadow Health Minister Chris Picton. 82230000 is our number for your thoughts. You can text us on
not up to the bold promise stage yet.
No.
But watch this space.
No, that's right. Yeah. It's awful what they're doing. Are you going to stop it? Well, maybe.
Geez, they hate that basketball stadium, don't they? A lot of people do. It's not just the basketball stadium, though. The opposition, you must really hate them, Will, given their stated sort of commitment to disparaging the sport of basketball as a total waste of time and money.
Oh, you know what? To be fair, I love basketball, but the 36ers just moved when they moved from the powerhouse to the entertainment centre. It felt like a revelation. So it feels like basketball's has just recently had this wonderful change in South Australia. Going and watching the Sixers at the entertainment centre is a vastly superior experience to the old powerhouse on Crittenden Road. And
well, I've got to say, I wouldn't know. And this is where I reckon, and you can run things on focus group, you can run things on instinct, but I reckon the opposition keep calling it a basketball stadium, because they know that there are a hell of a lot of South Australians like me who've never, ever been to the basketball.
Yeah.
I've never been.
It's good
Never
fun.
been.
It's good fun.
Maybe we should go one night.
All right. Let's do that.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
They put on a good show.
Count me in.
We might be able to get to do it in a new $600 million stadium.
That's right.
9 to 9. Wouldn't that be a treat?
How long do the games go for?
Well,
actually, I saw my son play at Marden a few weeks ago. That was, community social club basketball.
Yeah,
that was
beautiful.
pretty good.
I mean, 2 20-minute halves out at Marden. I played a few seasons out there.
Good setup.
Yeah, so they always ask our team not to come back.
What, for behavioural reasons?
Yeah, we're all angry, middle-aged losers. It's time to check traffic. Thanks to Air Conditioning Warehouse Sales, Adelaide's biggest air conditioning brands at best prices, airwaresales.com.au.
Got a couple of burst water mains this morning, one at Brahma Lodge Park Terrace near Southdown Terrace, the other at Wayville Goodwood Road near Greenhill Road. That is outbound and the left-hand lane is closed. Crayford, speed restrictions on the freeway, they still apply for works in both directions. And look out for roadworks today. Semaphore Road near Jenkins Street, Birkenhead, speeds down to 40 k's. Busy on the drive in this morning, Doothie Street, Malvern and Grange Road, Welland, carrying quite a bit of traffic this morning, so it could be a good idea to find a better way to work. And while you're at it, drive through to McCafe. They've crafted a new blend that's smooth and rich with a hint of sweet berry. McCafe. Now that's coffee fit for an Aussie. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Can I have a flat white to take away, thanks?
Sure, that'll be $10.
Sorry, but the cafe down the road has the same coffee beans and the same milk for only $4.
Yeah, well, ours is $10, Dal.
Ah, I see.
Should have gone to Specsavers, because whether you're buying coffee or hearing aids, you shouldn't have to pay top dollar for top-of-the-range features. Book a free 15-minute hearing check today at specsavers.com.au/hearing. Conditions apply.
The Nissan Juke TI comes with Apple CarPlay and Bose headrest speakers, plus low monthly repayments if you finance with Nissan Future Value. Nissan Juke. Let's improvise. Approved private and ABN applicants only. T's and C's apply.
Download the new FIVEaa Player app to your phone and never miss a thing. Stream live or catch up on all your favourite FIVEaa shows or news on the go and explore an ever-expanding library of informative and entertaining podcasts. And if you've got mates interstate missing out on all the latest on the Power and Crows, they can listen in from wherever they are. Download the FIVEaa Player app for free on the App Store or Google Play. And take FIVEaa wherever you go.
The FIVEaa Player.
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think, because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Hi, Rodney Jane here. At Bob Jane T-Marts, no other retailer has as many world-class brands or world-class deals. Buy 3, get 1 free, and instant cashbacks on brands such as Bridgestone, Michelin, Yokohama, Dunlop, Goodyear, and the Bob Jane Zenon Z7. With Australia's largest tyre range from just $59, our best tyre price guarantee, and biggest alloy wheel choice from $119, we'll look after you.
T's and C's apply. You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
The new FIVEaa Player app lets you listen to all your favourite FIVEaa shows, news and podcasts wherever you go. Download it now from the App Store.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 to 9, let's check the fuel situation. All South Aussies can now find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the free My RAA app. My RAA is the app you need. Or you can listen to Fuel Watch. Petrol is up right across Adelaide. There are a couple of places that Lucy's managed to spot for you this morning. In the northwest and the west, $1.35 at the Coles Express on the corner of Grange Road and Findon Road in Findon. $1.31 at the United on the corner of Port Road and Old Port Road. $1.37 at the Woolies Caltex at Westlakes and $1.33 at the Mobile on Semaphore Road at Exeter.
I'll tell you what is a big hidden cost, and having the new Kluger, which I'm loving, but the car, a lot of new model cars say you've got to use premium unleaded, premium unleaded, the price of that doesn't seem to come down very often.
Oh, so yeah, they say you need it.
Do you definitely need it?
I'm okay. I'm not going to. That's
because I was asking myself that same question the other day.
I'm just playing
on Kangaroo Island. It was $1.90. $1.90.
Radio host,
could have
devil's
filled the car
advocate.
with Hennessy cognac instead.
Radio host, devil's advocate, not mechanic. Will Goodings posing the question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just so we establish my bona
mechanically minded
fides.
people out there. Can you put non-premium unleaded in a car that has the sticker on the tank saying
That's a good question.
premium unleaded?
All right, let's go behind closed doors thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed...
5AA Weekend Breakfast with Mike Keelan and Angie McBride.
It is 7 minutes to 7 on this Saturday or Sunday morning or evening. Angie McBride with you, or McTavish and Michael Keelan. Hello, Michael.
Right. Hi, Ange. Very foggy this morning, isn't it?
It is. I thought I was going to see Freddy Krueger on my way in this morning.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes I do think that I'm going to be slashed to death on my way into 5AA. So just be careful if you're driving this morning in case you see Freddy Krueger.
Right. And we have some cooking on today's show, haven't we, Ange?
Yes, we have, Michael. And you said to me that I should, because in the past, I've always, because sometimes you think, I don't think I can, because I am a very basic cook. So if I was to go on, I don't think I have because I've found that because there are good and bad cooks. If you were to go on because it would be hard to, because I don't think I could really.
No, we'll be doing that later.
Yes, we will, Michael.
So that's something to look forward to.
Yes, and right now, Michael, we're going to talk to Michaela Cleave, who is a Sydney-based artist. She's got a thing going called Messages of Hope, Messages of Love, and she joins us now to tell us what it's all about. Hello, Michaela.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So tell us about this event.
Well, it's an idea.
And how you came up with the idea.
Yes, it came about.
It is an interesting story.
Yes, well, how it happened.
And I'm sure our listeners would like to hear it.
Yes, I think so. And thank you for having me on. It all started.
Well, we're glad you joined us, aren't we, Michael?
Yeah, we certainly are, Ange.
Can you shut up and let me talk?
We're out of time with this Tuesday morning. Enjoy what little sun we do get today. It's beaming through the windows here in Hindmarsh Square at the moment. Leon Binus coming up, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.
Taking time to listen can make all the difference. Farrell & O'Neill Funerals is a